Good evening, people. Liverpool crash out at Fulham in the sun. It was all hunky dory, wasn't it? In midweek, we got the big derby win, albeit by just the solitary goal. But Liverpool fan base, Liverpool fans all over the world were in good spirits because it felt like we didn't play footy for about 2-3 years, and then we played the blue and white shite. We put them to aside, and then we went in to the game with another boost from yesterday with Arsenal dropping points away to the blue and white shite. But here we are with Fulham. They were a good team. They are a good team. Marco Silva is a good manager, but Liverpool were in, I call it holiday mode. Some people call it beach mode, just like the title tells you today. But here we are, man. We're 26 match unbeaten run goes out the window. Our first away defeat of the season. Are we going to overreact today? Well, time will tell. Time will tell. Or do we have to provide a bit of perspective, a bit of patience? With me, myself, as ever, Sarib, as ever, and Bilal making his red zone debut. He's so special. He doesn't want to show his face, but it's okay. He's been on the show many, many times, sending his thoughts and perspectives, whether it's through a normal chat or a big essay on my WhatsApp, clogging up my memory. But Bilal, I'll come with to you first. It's a big welcome to you for the Red Zone. I have to make it all professional and flipping formal. But tell me how you are first.
Evening, everyone. Thank you for having me on the channel on this show, even though I've been on before. I'm not sure quite what to feel about today. I did want to hit the 90-point mark this season for aesthetic reasons. The game was a blur, as you were saying previously as well, and honestly, it was like a game of two halves. And the first 20 odd minutes, I thought we started decent, and then what happened next, I just can't explain. It was like we went 5-6 years back into the past. I was just blown away because it's not like Fulham played any outstanding football. We seem to lose focus. We seem to not be, I don't know, concentrated. It seemed like we thought, yeah, the league is in the bag, and we just thought that in Gear 2 or Gear 3 we can just stroll along 1-0. But the 5 minutes after the goal, I was really impressed. I thought, you know what? Okay, we're going to take the game away from Fulham completely. And then what followed, I just can't explain. It's just individual errors, loss of focus, no concentration. And some players look like they're well past their sell-by date.
We'll dive into the the expiry dates later on, sorry, but I was angry today, sorry, because I thought Liverpool lacked the right attitude, the right approach. I said in my intro that Liverpool, some of them especially, were in holiday mode. And although I do agree to an extent, I thought Liverpool weren't great at the start, but they got the goal through a great, screamer from McAllister. And Liverpool were fairly in control, even though we had that mad moment from Konate. But just talk to me about the lineup first. Curtis Jones took a lot of plaudits, and rightly so, against Everton. Were you happy to see him at right back? I posed the question a couple of hours before the game, Sarib, that I think in theory we will have to do a lot more defending. Iwobi on that side, Robertson flying up and down that flank. I thought in theory we'll have to do a lot more defending. And if I had a choice, I might have. And look, hindsight is a great thing, but I was having this conversation with a few people before the game and said, I think Kwanzaa will get the nod today. We just need a bit more experience on that side, a bit more physicality, and just general defenders. But one, were you happy to see that? And two, Diaz was the other, I would say, surprise guy, because he again was one of our best players in midweek. Were you surprised to see him on the bench today, or were you generally happy with the lineup?
So when the lineup came out, I looked at it and I thought, Jones right back. Now I understand the thinking behind it, because why would you then drop a player that has played in form against Everton? But then if that was the reason, why do you drop Diaz? But I even said as well, I wouldn't have started Curtis Jones right back. Yes, it can work in the game at home when you're in possession. I think you can play anyone there. But when you're away from home and you're going to be under the cosh, which we were in those 15 minutes, and that's where Fulham got the 3 goals, You play Kwanzaa, who's more utilized to play that role, and he's been utilized there previously, and he's a bit more stable defensively. He can hold his own 1v1, and he's a bit bigger and more physical than Curtis Jones. And when you're coming against a winger who's quite good 1v1, it will be who then drifts into the the number 10 position as well. And you got Robinson on the overlap. You have to have somebody there that at least knows how to defend the right hand side of the pitch. And I think that's where Curtis Jones. It's not his fault. Yeah, we have to make that very, very clear. It's not his fault that he's in that position. But I would have personally started Jarrell Konza. On the Diaz Gakpo situation, I can see his thinking behind starting Cody Gakpo. I think Cody Gakpo started for the Netherlands on international duty. Obviously, he was out for 5 games. And obviously he needed minutes somewhere, and we know that when he comes into the team, he can score goals. And Salah is probably been Liverpool's most consistent attacking player this season. So I can understand it, but then you then drop Diaz, who's probably had the game of the season, and you take him out the 11. So you know what? I don't want to look too much into the Gakpo Diaz thing, because I think Gakpo, I can see why he was given minutes, but then I can also see why people would want Diaz to start. The only issue was for me is that Jones, Kwanzaa, when I would have started Kwanzaa personally, but then hindsight's a wonderful thing, because if Kwanzaa had made errors in that game, you would have then pointed at why you're not playing Curtis Jones. So I can see why Slot did it, to be fair. But me personally, I would have got stable. If you can call Kwanzaa stable.
I watched your fan cam. I do watch you, believe it or not. You didn't accuse Liverpool of being complacent. Do you stick by that point?
Yeah, I think they were complacent.
Because I got the impression that you were saying in your reaction that there was no complacency today. I thought there was.
No, I think there was as well. I don't know where you got that.
Okay.
I think Liverpool were very, very complacent. I think if Arsenal had probably won yesterday, I think they would have put more emphasis on the win. But like I said to you before the Everton game, I said most of the games Liverpool are going to play, they know they've won the league already, so the foot's going to be off the gas anyway. And especially when you're coming to a period of the season where you're coming from international break, we're coming back a 3-week break. We didn't play a league game for how long? Then we play Everton, lost the Newcastle game, and then we go into this game. So it's been so stop and start the last month or so. So it's hard, that's also hard to get into consistency, but you can't make any excuses. I think this team knows that they won the title, and obviously I'm sure they watched the Arsenal game and looked at the result and said yes. I'm sure a lot of fans do that. A lot of fans and players do that from clubs. And of course, that would have given some more optimism. Or when can we win the league? Like I said, even the pundits are throwing the notion when Liverpool are going to win the league. It's not even about if, it's about when. The players will hear it. If they're the players at the club, they're obviously going to understand that. And I do think there was a sense of complacency, but I also do think that some blame has to go into the manager, which I'm sure we'll get into as well.
Bilal Damien, he says, I don't agree with this at all. I feel it's pressure to finish it on top of fatigue. Do you think Liverpool are feeling the pressure going into the game with 11 points behind ahead with the game in hand?
No, respectfully, I have to disagree with that and strongly disagree with that.
Why?
Because Arsenal having lost yesterday gives us almost a free hit. It gives us almost a free hit. Even if we ended up drawing this game, we haven't really lost any ground to them whatsoever. And the thing is, going back on what Sarib said, that you have to look at the manager. Once Slot has picked the team, the players are on the pitch to perform.
Come on, man.
My captain has disappointed me the last 4 to 6 weeks in terms of performance levels. And thing is, attitude reflects leadership. So if the players are complacent, your captain has to step up on the pitch and reprimand the players. Not only does he have to reprimand them, he has to lead by example. His performance levels have dropped at times within games, but the thing is, because his bar is set so high, and the same with Mohamed Salah. I look at the 2 leaders on the pitch, the 2 captains, and then Robertson being another. Trent injured, Alisson out injured, so I'm not going to say much. But absolutely not. Pressure. What pressure? It's not Man City chasing us. This Arsenal side is decimated with injuries. They haven't won the league in 20 years. They're still yet to win more than 3 Premier League games in a row this season. So what pressure are we exactly feeling here? They're just about drawing to Everton. We can talk about the penalty all we want. But they've got a massive game. If anything, Arsenal's focus would have been on the Champions League, because I think the players within themselves know, as well as Arteta, that the league's over for them.
Yeah, if you saw the team he put out in that game, he rotated 80% of his squad. But no, just on that, before you go, Asim, Bilal says, I don't think there's a sense of any sort of idea that Liverpool are not going to finish first. But this also happened this time last year. We're on similar points. If you look at the points tally Liverpool were on this time last year, it's virtually identical. I think it was like we're probably 3-4 points off. So, and this happened when this happened. So
But
what it's suggesting me,
sorry,
that's
forgive
even
me.
down to pressure. It's just they're the exact same players. They just have this sense where they get to the closure of the season and they take the foot off the gas.
Sorry,
So is that pressure?
me.
What is it?
Forgive me to interject. Man
No,
City were chasing
forgiven,
us.
forgiven.
Man City were chasing us. The point I mentioned is Arsenal are yet to win more than 3 Premier League games this season in a row.
Yeah, so it's
They
not
haven't
pressure
won the
then.
league.
It's the
They
squad
haven't
issues.
won the league for 21 years. No, the pressure comes from whoever's chasing you. The
So
pressure
what do you
or the
think it is,
fear
Sarib?
comes from the team chasing you.
I think there's no pressure because who's really competing with us. But I think it's a lot more complacency. Now the situations look very, very similar to me. I know we were getting chased by Man City and Arsenal, but if it's becoming a pattern from last year to this year, what do you put it down to? It's down to complacency because we were in a position last year at this same point where we were top of the league after 30 games and we didn't
No,
win the title. We're in the exact same position now, but we
I
just
think
got
it's
to make a margin of error. That's it.
there's much more factors than that. There's much more factors. There's player quality, there's starting 11 quality, there's squad and players that not either trusted or not either good enough.
It's the
Then you have
same.
to look at the teams that we're playing. You have to look at the actual tactics within the game and how we've Atlanta being one of the biggest signs. And the thing is, we're going to come across this well because Asim spoke about this with me beforehand.
But
How
Bilal,
we deal with
you just said
man-to-man
to
press.
me it can't be on the manager because when you put the
No,
players
no,
out,
no. And
nothing to do with the manager.
initially picking the team and the tactics can go down to a certain degree to the manager. But once he's picked the players are on the pitch. Thing is, you can't excuse the way that Robertson performed today. Once he's on the pitch, those mistakes are not because he's not good enough. It's because he's not concentrating. That wayward pass he played in is not because he can't play a pass 15, 20 yards away from him. That's inexcusable.
I think there is that as well. I think Roberts only took about 3-4 years to actually inject a dead ball skill where we had to roll the ball to him. We had to roll the ball to him to kick to have a set piece. This is with all due respect, this is a professional footballer. We had to roll the ball to him on corners and free kicks for him to cross the ball in. That's ridiculous.
And
Robertson's passing from like dead ball situations has never been great. Like in settled play, I mean, and this is the reason why his instincts, natural instincts, what you saw from Robinson today up and down that flank is what you saw for years upon years from Robertson. That's his strength, intensity, energy, tenacity, call it what you like, but he was bloody brilliant up and down that flank because it suited him and the style of play. When you're asking him to stay in the last line in the first phase of play and play, passes into midfield or to the right back for that instance, for his mistake, that's where he comes unstuck because that's not his game. Then it requires a certain different level of technical ability and passing ability. So look, I've spoken a lot about Robertson. I absolutely love what he did, what he's done for Liverpool as a footballer, as a servant to the football
he's a
club.
club legend.
He's a club legend, and you know what's more important, and it gets lost as well in this world of social media. He's a better person for me than a footballer. He's a brilliant footballer and what he's been as a servant to the Liverpool. But every time you see videos of him or anything that comes out from the club, it comes across like a really nice guy, really nice, down to earth. And that for me sometimes is more important. But you have to draw a line. That I can't show sentiment to you as a player because you're a nice lad. With all due respect, we're in the business. Football's a business and results business, and we have to be ruthless. I can see him. I want him to stick around because you always need leaders and characters like that to develop youngsters and set a good example, just like James Milner did for years. But it requires a technical level and if he's not doing that, then and what's worse is, and Bilal touched on it, we had a discussion, and we rather discuss it now. When teams are aggressive, and teams are aggressive to our centre backs, and you saw it early parts of the game where Konate is getting pressed and he does that little drag back, and panic kicks in because we lose it. Is when teams do that and they get tight on Gravenberch. You tell me, for the last 2-3 months, all we were doing, coming on shows and speaking how great Ryan Gravenberch is, because teams were sitting off us, not pressing us really high, apart from the elite teams and really physical teams. And all Ryan Gravenberch was doing. He was sitting behind the halfway line, behind their first line of press, and receiving on the half turn and going on his mazy runs. When have you seen that in the last month or so on a consistent basis over 90 minutes? I haven't seen it. Why?
Simple answer.
Because teams are getting a bit clever. And what they're doing is they're sitting on him and asking him, okay, can you receive when we're touch tight rather than zonal? And if you're really touch tight on the centre backs as well, then it requires a lot more, or it puts a lot more responsibility on Robertson. Konate is already getting pressed. Trent. And when you're missing Trent, our build up, it goes down the drain.
It's
and
non-existent.
That's a big problem. Big problem.
I think a bigger thing as well, Asim, is that it's all well and good when it's working, when Liverpool are keeping possession. But I think you judge also players when they're out of possession, especially number 6. And I know I've been a big fan of saying we need somebody that can eat up the space as well. And I think Gravenberch can do it, but you can see in games like today against Fulham, he's not a natural in that position. You can see he's been tasked to play there. And granted, it's his first year playing in that position. He's going to learn on the job. But Alexi McAllister, he's not. I don't think I think his work is a lot. I think if you ask McAllister, he'd prefer to play in the number 10 position, but he's also playing the position. But he's a much more intelligent footballer, and he's played it a lot more than Gravenberch. So he's learned that position. It will take time with Gravenberch, but when you're trying to win a league title, you need somebody in that position that has been there and done it. It's why Liverpool have been targeting a number 6 for 2 years. Caicedo, Lavia, Zubimendi. Forget the profile. We know that we need a number 6 in there. You can't then just go from saying, oh, we're not going to sign a 6 in Gravenberch's form. Fine. Gravenberch has been exceptional, but people say it's legs, down to rotation. Fine. But in the last 2 months, Asim, he's not been great. I'll be honest. Regardless of it being legs, but even the way he's moving with the ball, he's given the ball away far too many times. And yes, that's probably down to him being pressed in positions and being closed down by the opposition players at a level he wasn't early in the season. But this shows you that separates the best players from the top players. The good players from the top players. Because if Thiago receives the ball when he's getting pressed, like he can ping the ball with his back.
Absolutely.
Gravenberch needs to turn around to play the ball forward.
But the problem is Thiago is like the elite level.
That's what we need. That's exactly what we need if we're winning the league. Look at Rodri.
I know what you mean.
But that's the problem we have now. We haven't got press-resistant midfielders, unfortunately.
There's not a knock on Gravenberch, by the way.
We haven't got press-resistant midfielders. And the thing is, this is the value of Trent. So all those
can I just interject, Bilal? Yeah, I think Gravenberch is press resistant, but he doesn't lose you with like a first time ball or like Thiago. What he does is he beats it with a dribble. He's higher risk. It's higher risk. But he's press resistant, and that's the reason why I think he got the role over the likes of McAllister and Gravenberch. But the problem is when he gets pressed, again, maybe he's not natural and he's only had 6-7 months of playing that position. And look, I agree with Dean. I don't think he was, our worst player today.
No.
But I think for me, McAllister, there's a bit more responsibility. At the moment, we've got a lot of footballers, a lot of technicians. But the problem is Szoboszlai is playing that number 10 role for a reason, because everyone's talked about a balancing act between Trent and Salah. Someone's got to do that dirty job, jump on the press and stuff like that. And this is the reason why I don't see McAllister playing that, because McAllister is one of the best short space tacklers. The Argentinians, South American tenacity comes in play, and he's a really good tackler. But tell him to run 50 yards and get back in.
He lacks physicality.
He lacks phicality.
Even their first goal today.
Both of them do.
Of course. And then you've got Gravenberch, who isn't a natural 6. And then you've got on the other side McAllister. That's why he has to, because of Gravenberch's lack of dictating the game ability, he has to come deep and receive the ball, because he's a lot better at breaking the lines compared to Gravenberch. So all those three give us a lot of attributes, but there's something missing here and there because of probably we don't have the natural physicality or the natural profile in the 6. So every other footballer in the midfield department can flourish. So, but look, I want to ask you something. I've started a few comments. Let's just quickly go through the super chats. Luke, big up to yourself, mate. It's not the first time you've sent a super chat. Thank you very much for sending us that through. Big up BNR, and I didn't think we were that bad today. We lacked some composure and made some stupid mistakes. West Ham at home, perfect rebound game to win. Yeah, I get that. I think, when you can't condone or any. Sorry, what's the word? You can't. I forgot the. I forgot the word. But you look, it doesn't matter how good you are, but if you make individual mistakes, then the game's going to turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alex, thank you very much, mate. Bring me a creative zone 14 and let's drop Dom back. I know why he's mentioned that zone 14. We were having a bit of a chuckle, but what he means is, and this is what I was trying to say is, I get the fact that I'm, sort of praised Dom and I've called him a machine. I've called him the ultimate footballer, and I do still really want Dominic Szoboszlai in this team, because if you're going to have a lot of creators on that side, you have to have someone who does the dirty work as well. But the problem is on these days when your creative one in Trent is not there, Salah has having a bad month, then you need someone else to carry that, baton, don't you? And at the moment, I think Dominic Szoboszlai has been played way too much. So his main strength is his running power and legs and everything like that. And if he's goosed, then what does he bring you?
Nothing.
So you're craving for, creativity. And this is the reason why I said Slot probably needs to take responsibility about not giving enough time to Harvey Elliott.
Did we look a better team when Elliott was on the pitch in the number 10 position?
Yeah, because they were pressing our centre backs. They were pressing Gravenberch, and when I said that our players are not as press resistant, he's the most of the press resistant players. But that's not when a team is going man to man. Once an opposition goes to man, even Gravenberch isn't as press resistant as the elite players. That's why we needed Elliott. We needed a creative outlet, and this is why next season, if he doesn't go for a creative source from right back similar to Trent, he's going to have to buy a midfielder who's able to play on the half turn in the half spaces, zone 14 creative. We're going to need that. We're going to need a Shirky type player. We're going to need a player that can just create something from the middle of the park. Otherwise, I seriously think, or we get a Vitinha, a Xavi type player.
The thing is, you guys are mentioning like Vitinha, Thiago's got a mention. Like, where is another Vitinha? Tell me.
Pepelu. The guy I've always been all the time that I keep mentioning at Valencia. I don't know why no one's looking.
I've heard the name. You told me before. Have you seen much of him, Sarib?
No, mate, I ain't got a clue who he is. I don't watch Valencia, mate. I know I didn't watch the game yesterday. Saw Mamadashvili though. Big up Mamadashvili, by the way.
Yeah, big up. What a performance! What a performance!
I want to ask you this question. Where was it? Our best spell of the season was when we had Gakpo, Diaz, and Salah. Not sure why we went away from it. Do you agree?
Yeah. I tell you why. Because this is why I was shocked in the lineup and why I blame Slot. I would never have started Gakpo today. I would never have started him. I would have rather him play.
Why?
Because balance. There was no balance in attack. Jota has been so bad. His performances have been so bad. At least Diaz would bring some kind of energy in from the left. He would cut in from the left, or he would try to at least dribble past. Whereas Gakpo was absolutely anonymous. He's cold. He's coming back from an injury. Yeah, he might have done well for Holland, but he doesn't link up well with Jota whatsoever. If you look at the numbers, if I'm right, Diaz linked up best with Gakpo playing left when he was playing centre forward. And vice versa, when Diaz was playing left wing, Jota had the best time up front. And I can't believe he played him because, look, Robertson's not bombing past him to create the overlap to put a cross in. So what is Jota going to be feeding off? I mean, we'll talk about that miss later.
Yeah.
But in terms of service, there was absolutely none.
Okay. Sadly, a lot of the chat, a lot of people are, obviously heaping praise on Chiesa for his cameo, Bradley for his cameo, Harvey Elliott for his cameo. But the staunch Szoboszlai fans and the Gakpo fans would be saying, look, if they like for like changes, then it's harder to have an impact on the game. Slot put Gravenberch in centre back. He put Curtis back in midfield. He had Harvey Elliott as an extra midfielder. And then Bradley up and down that flank as well. So we were taking risks, and that's why we looked a better team. And also Fulham sat off, I think they went into a back five from the 80th minute as well. And so Liverpool were popping off passes because they had a lot of people in those advanced areas, and it's a lot easier to look better when you're taking a lot more risks. Yeah, if it was the 50th minute of the game, it's a lot harder to do. Thoughts?
I think. So, are you basically what you're asking me is, do you think the substitutions should have happened earlier? Is what you're basically saying?
What I'm saying is, do you think these guys look? I think Harvey Elliott and these guys do deserve a bit more time.
Yeah.
A bit more time, and I think he probably might have got it as well, but he had that injury, didn't he? But I think we have a problem with Harvey Elliott where Slot needs to make his mind up. I think clearly he doesn't trust him. That's clear, isn't it? We have to judge by the minutes that he's been playing.
Yeah.
So he needs to make sure. I don't want a situation next year where we have the same situation where we have Dominic Szoboszlai in March absolutely goosed. I read one of the tweets. I think it was Simon Brundish, and he's very good at these sort of stats. And he goes, "These lads dropped off a cliff last March. Same lads have got us into this phenomenal position, but then he goes through it, but then have been less consistent, less fluid, less electric for maybe 2 months. Having two 33-year-olds play the most minutes of their career is an interesting strategy." He means Van Dijk and Salah. 5 other busting their career max. 11 redefining their average season or game time. We have won sprints in 3 games in 2025 after winning them in every single game in 2024. Maybe there's a correlation somewhere, he ends with. And I think that's a brilliant tweet. You have to understand where this, I think we've talked about it, Sarib, that this manager, look, to his credit, and in all fairness, that this is his first season in English, in the English league. But he needs to learn that he can't go with 13, 14 players next season. And it's up to the ownership to make sure that doesn't happen as well.
They have to back him. They have to absolutely back him. And the thing is, that's the only reason why I'm going to cut him some slack, because it's his first season. He had to get used to the league. Where Jurgen had time, Jurgen wasn't in Europe for 1.5 seasons. So Klopp had time to get his team together and slowly learn from he learned from his mistakes up until the point where he was backed no longer. And then we fell off a cliff after the potential quadruple season.
This happened last year as well. This happened. The exact same thing happened last year. Midfield.
Yes.
He played the same midfield. McAllister. He played McAllister, Jones, and Szoboszlai. That was Liverpool's most used midfield last season on the Jurgen Klopp. Now, I still remember he rotated. It's funny because it happened around the same time last year. He rotated Fulham away last year. He played Endo, Elliott, and McAllister. So Jones and Szoboszlai were out of the team.
Who's this?
He played Endo, Elliott, and Gravenberch in midfield against Fulham last year. Jurgen Klopp. And then we won that game 3-1, and we were already in a rot. We drew to United playing the midfield that we've seen Endo playing in that midfield. But we've seen Szoboszlai, McAllister, Endo, and Jones rotate a lot. But then Jones were ahead of Endo. Then in the Merseyside derby, he dropped Endo and he dropped Gravenberch and Elliott, and he put McAllister back in the 6, put Jones and Szoboszlai in the 2 8s. We lost the game 2-0. He then changed the midfield again. We drew the game against we kept the same midfield against West Ham. We drew 2-2. So the one game he changed his midfield, Liverpool won 3-1. Now Arne Slot needs to do the same thing, because you can't keep playing the same midfield week in, week out, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, McAllister, and expecting the same results. Use Endo, use Elliott, because these guys have contributed to how many points Liverpool have won this season. Look at Harvey Elliott, even in the Champions League. I know he comes off on the right wing, but he contributed with the goal, and Liverpool didn't score in either legs with the midfield that we had. No control. What I'm saying to you is, when you're trying to, especially when you're away from home, right? You want to control a game. Szoboszlai doesn't give you control in the number 10. The reason why he's in his team, and I said this on the last show, is because of his running power. This guy, if he had no legs, he's no use. And you can see right now, he has no legs, so he's no use. So you take him out of the team, let him rest. Because this happened last year when he took Szoboszlai out of the team. Liverpool were better. You put him back in the team at this point, Liverpool lost. My point is no coincidence that's just happening at the same time last year, the same time this year with Szoboszlai. There's no coincidence.
Just to play devil's advocate, and bring the problem, I think, and it's not his fault as well, that Harvey Elliott doesn't get more minutes than he should, is because McAllister is the brains of the team.
Yep.
And you can't have a midfield, I think, and that's probably Slot's way of thinking as well, especially in the Premier League, Sarib, is you have Gravenberch and then McAllister and Elliott on either side.
Change the formation.
And you got to play Endo. You have to play Endo.
Change the formation, Bilal. Tell me. How?
Elliott for me can only play on the right-hand side of a midfield 4. He can't play as 8. He's not going to play
midfield 4.
Yeah, midfield 4.
So in a 4-4-2 then?
Yeah, in a 4-4-2 type system, or somewhat
You can't,
rotational.
you can't go on the outside.
Thing is,
That's the problem.
I would give him somewhat of a free role, because we're not going to play a 10. We're never going to play with a 10, because the only time today, like his position today, the positions he took up, he was taking up as a right winger or a right midfielder, as a traditional right midfielder, and then he was coming into the space, and Salah was playing more like a second striker, if anything. That's
Yeah,
the only
Man City
position
at
I
home.
can see him
Really
playing
is.
with Gravenberch and with McAllister. Otherwise, I don't see him starting. I'd be shocked if he started him. I mean, I'd be happy. It'd prove
Would you,
us all right
would,
against West Ham. I'm talking about.
do you see why he doesn't get enough minutes though? It's because one of the reasons why is McAllister is probably one of our most important players.
He is. And McAllister, for all the lack of physicality, is still more physical than Elliot, and still has more running power, even if you can call it that, or legs, than Elliot.
But we want
Sarib,
the number.
would you fit Harvey Elliott somehow?
I mean, okay. Please tell me. Everyone keeps making this point. Oh, he's short. So genetics not his fault. Second of all, in possession,
I didn't say his fault.
in possession. Is he
Height
better than
isn't.
number 10 in possession that we have now? Yes, he is. Yes, he might not have the legs, but he offered more in 25 minutes than Szoboszlai did in the entirety he was on the pitch, and he hit the crossbar. And I believe Harvey Elliott is more of a goal threat than Dominic Szoboszlai at this moment. Szoboszlai can score goals, but inside the box, he hasn't got a brain cell. If you
But
associate,
Sarri, where would you play him?
I'd play him in number
position
10.
would you play him?
I'd play him number 10. But then you have
What,
to
4-2-3-1?
I mean,
Whatever it is.
Slot's
Okay.
not going to change the system to suit a player, because you don't drop Salah off the right. You don't take Elliott. You don't put Elliott on the right, because then Salah drops out. So where else is Elliott going to play? In the number 10. But then if you play Harvey Elliott, you then need somebody like an Endo behind him that's more physical, because you're taking out Szoboszlai, who's physical and a legs monster, but in possession he's not good. So you have to caveat somewhere. You have to make sacrifices somewhere. So if you play Elliott in the number 10, play Endo and McAllister, that pivot works. We've seen that last season. Put Elliott in the number 10. Liverpool will be a lot better in the possession, because you already got McAllister, who's exceptional in possession. You've got Harvey Elliott, who's exceptional in possession, and you've got somebody that can break up the play. Please tell me how that's not balanced.
Because we're a possession
And
based.
Gravenberch needs a rest. And Gravenberch needs a rest as well.
I think we're a possession based football team. He wants central progression. That's really important to him. And Endo's not good enough on the ball.
Asim, touching upon that, if you're going to play Endo,
You disagree?
then you've got Robertson, then you've got Bradley, then you've got Konate. You can't
We've
build
already
up from
got
the back.
build-up problems.
You can't build up from the back at all whatsoever. What are you going to do? You can't hit it long, because we haven't got a 6'3" striker.
We ain't got the personnel then, do we?
Hit it long and let Endo win it back.
Look, you know what annoyed me today, Asim?
Yeah.
I know exactly what he did today. It really annoyed me. So Liverpool are trying to threaten the Fulham goal. He takes Konate off, puts Gravenberch into libero, the centre back, the advanced centre back role. You can call it that. He takes the number 10 off, shifts Harvey Elliott to the right. You have then 5 strikers. Fulham understood that, put five defenders on them, and then there's nobody in the number 10 position to pick up the ball. I saw it so many times. Liverpool are trying to play it into the midfield to somebody, but there's nobody there. And Fulham just kept forcing Liverpool back and back and back. And for a good 7 or 8 minutes, that was happening. What I don't understand is, right, why is this happening? You've got a creative player like Harvey Elliott, who's probably better in central areas, that can play a pass, as you saw in the Carabao Cup final when he played that ball into Chiesa. And Chiesa, we'll get onto Chiesa. My argument is now, what does Harvey Elliott need to do to get into this team? Because in possession, in central areas, he's very, very good. You then shift him to the right, give him an excuse because he's going to be shit there, then say you didn't do enough and take him out of the team. That's what it looks like to me. But for a good 7-8 minutes in that game, Asim, I don't know if you noticed it. I'm sure you did, because you're a tactical yourself. There was nobody in that number 10 position just outside the box to receive the ball. Nobody. He moved Gravenberch into there. McAllister was advanced. Then you've got Elliott, Chiesa, Diaz, Nunez, and Salah as the 5 strikers. And then you've got the 5 Fulham defenders. There was nothing. And for a good 7 minutes, we couldn't break through them. All we was doing is looking for the long ball from Kelleher out wide. That's it.
Sarib, we can see this. Slot is obviously an elite manager. He's an elite coach. That's why he's managing Liverpool. If he doesn't pick Harvey Elliott in the 10 role against West Ham at home, who are struggling anyway, then it's indicative of him just simply not being what he thinks he is. He just doesn't trust him enough.
We know that, though. We know that. But that's why people are having a go at him, because Elliott, anytime he's been in Liverpool's team, he's contributed with a goal or assist.
But he's never sustained this beginning a game. he always has a greater impact coming on as a sub, as he did today. Starting the game is different. That's why I would love to be proven wrong. I just don't think he's good enough. Honestly, I just don't think he's good enough.
The who Harvey.
Yeah, I don't think he's good enough. He hasn't got the physical qualities. He hasn't got the running power or legs.
Do you think Bilal, just to come back on you, where he could have found a few more opportunities to get some minutes out of him? Where we've talked about
100%.
McAllister, but play Harvey Elliott if there is a physical issue and a size issue. Play Harvey Elliott when you're resting McAllister a bit and play crossline on the left hand side.
Absolutely. There's so many times this season when we were controlled winning games, he should have used Endo more. He should have used Harvey Elliott more. He should have even used Chiesa more. Look, let's be honest. Mohamed Salah, if he doesn't have Trent's passing range, or if he doesn't have Bradley overlapping, similar with Trent, non-existent. If he's double teamed or even single teamed, look, he can't do it on his own. He is fatigued and he hasn't got that running power that he had earlier on in the season. He can't do it on his own whatsoever. 7 games now. 2 goals, 2 penalty goals v Southampton in 7 games and 1 assist. Yes, it's coincided with Trent's injury and Bradley being injured too, but he can't do it on his own. And
he was awful today.
Sarib,
let's not take the piss.
Sorry, give me someone. If Harvey Elliott, because what I was trying to tell you is, or get to the fact that if he doesn't trust Harvey Elliott, then I mentioned the point that the board and the ownership need to back him. If for sort of worst case scenario, or someone would say, look, it's a good job that if he exits the club, but if he does, then Liverpool need a number 10 that the manager trusts.
Yep.
Who would you bring in, realistically speaking? Give me a name. Bilal said Ryan Cherki. Would you support that?
No, I think I said it on.
Do you think he's good enough?
No, I've not seen enough of him. I know his raw talent is very, very impressive. I've not seen enough. But I look at Cunha at Wolves, likes a facilitator. Why not try it? Why not play Cunha as a 10? I think Cunha. The
reason why I don't think someone works as a number 10 in Cunha is the way we play at the moment, Sarib, is that number 10 is expected to be overlapping Salah, going on the outside, whipping crosses in. If Salah is, especially if you come up against a number, a 5 at the back, Salah likes to tuck in into the third centre back, and Szoboszlai holds width at times, or Harvey Elliott, what Bilal was talking about, he holds width and then comes inside. I don't think Cunha is that. I think Cunha's best strengths are through down the middle and then coming in deeper, areas, picking up the ball and turning. I don't think Cunha is that sort of player where he works in sort of wide areas and whipping a crossing. I don't see that.
Asim, can I mention 2 names?
I think it'll work.
Yeah, of course.
Asim, look, Saj did mention Morgan Rogers, but you said realistic. Morgan Rogers is not going to go for anything less than 70, 80, more than 70 million. In fact, he's 22, I believe. The only other Premier League proven player that I said, and I had him on my list, was Kulusevski of Spurs. If Spurs don't get Champions League somehow, because they're still in the Europa League, so there's an outside chance, we could potentially put in a cheeky bid for him.
That is a player that I like, and that's the exact player where you can see Kulusevski holding width at times, even as a number 10.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, that's the sort of player we need, Sarah, because we have to cater for Salah.
But I was being realistic.
Yeah, Kulusevski's 45, 50 million.
I want Musiala. If we're being unreal, I want Musiala. If we're being unrealistic, that's what I'd love to have.
Ryan Cherki, honestly, Ryan Cherki can play across the pitch.
A lot of shouts for Eze, Bilal.
Oof, wow, that was before I got into the Ryan Cherki hype train. He was there. He was there because I remember speaking to Jakey about him, saying that, you know what, that's who I thought Arsenal might go for as an understudy to Odegaard.
So you don't think Cunha works as a 10 with a new number 6 in there? You don't think that works?
No, we need an elite striker.
I think Cunha would. I think Cunha could work if we play with a natural 10, as in terms of position, where he's receiving in those central areas. I don't think we played that kind of 10 where we play with more of a high 8 in those right half spaces. And I think then it requires a different profile, Sarib.
If McAllister had legs,
it works, for example, is a proper natural 10. Yeah, where he could receive in any area, but
and
especially
he can drift as well.
He can drift and stuff like that. But I think Cunha is more like a a Bobby, if you know what I mean, where
Yes,
9
yes.
coming into a false 9 position.
And couldn't Firmino
9.5.
did we not see
Yeah.
did we not see many times Firmino play as a 10, Shaqiri on the right, Mane on the left, and Salah central? We saw that a lot.
Sorry,
We
say
scored
that
a lot
again.
of goals doing that. I remember the game we played against Arsenal at Anfield. Firmino played as a number 10, Shaqiri was on the right, Mane was on the left, and Salah was central. And he played a pivot of Fabinho.
Yeah.
And I think it was Henderson from the top of my head. But we scored 5 goals in that game. I think it works then because
But
Salah
Sarib,
can change. Cunha can
Sorry,
interchange.
when you play that, then 1, you need Bobby's tackling ability on the halfway line, and 2, you need 2 guys who can go side to side and mop up.
I'll
And
do
we don't
more.
have
Yeah,
those-
we
don't
need
have those players
Fabinho,
anymore.
Henderson, or Wijnaldum, and we ain't got that.
Yeah, so
We have
that's
got
exactly what I say.
nothing like that.
You need a proper number. You need a number 6 that breaks up the play. Then Cunha,
a
I think,
monster,
works.
a monster. And people forget, Wijnaldum. I think we played a
Sorry, it was
4-2-4
Wijnaldum that played, not Henderson.
Yeah.
Wijnaldum. Sorry.
against City away. I think we drew that game 1-1 or
1-1.
2-1. Was it 1-1?
1-1.
Which one?
And I think Klopp went 4-2-4 in that
Brilliant.
game.
Brilliant first half.
And
Which
I think it was Fabinho and Wijnaldum where we surprised them with the 4-2-4.
The COVID year. The
Yeah,
COVID year.
yeah.
Jota played striker.
The year after we won the league, yeah.
I can remember where I watched that game at Wiki's house, my nephew's, but I can't remember which year it was.
Big up Abdul Wakil.
But those 2 midfields come up. People underrate Wijnaldum's legs and recycling ability, and then we only really appreciated his qualities when he left. Let's be honest.
2 other quick names: Xavi Simons and Mastuantuano, if I've said that correctly, because Amir Hamza, big him up. He's been a big fan of his. Argentinian.
What do you think of Xavi Simons? At least mentioning him. A few other people are mentioning him. What I would tell you, Bilal, is FSG like Xavi Simons, and he's been on the laptop for a while. Whether they go for him, I don't know, but they do like him.
I'm not talking about in terms of free kicks or striking the ball from long distance, but in terms of play and agility, I'm thinking of Coutinho 2.0. That's the feeling I'm getting.
Coutinho 2.0. Wow.
Yeah. But
he's going to cost 70 million, man.
But sorry, we have to spend that money.
Yeah, but look, if we sign Xavi
If we get
Simons,
40 for Elliott, if he goes, what do you think?
But I don't think Elliott leaves in the summer. That's what I'm saying. I don't think he leaves. And I think Liverpool will be looking to sell, but I think he just won't leave.
And the two other names are the Spanish kid that you mentioned that I looked at earlier on last year, but then I thought, I'm not sure, Alex Biena, and Yildiz. Yildiz is the Turkish winger striker, number 10 at Juventus.
Solid. Yeah, good player.
Them 2 I want to keep an eye on. I'm still not 100% convinced, but there's definitely potential there. But if you give me a choice, 25 million, Rayan Cherki is a no-brainer. You've got nothing to lose.
There's one player I was particularly impressed in today, and I want to give that player a lot of credit. We've been linked with him in the past. I don't know what you lot think of him now, but I think to come in and replace a player of that caliber and so quickly, especially a player that was playing in the Championship as well, Sander Berge. I think he's very underrated. I think to replace João Paulinho to the level that he has done, and it literally looks like there's no difference. I know a load of comments will be like, oh, you're talking a load of shit. But every time I've watched Sander Berge, he's impressed me in possession and out of possession. I think his ability to get the ball, his long legs, his physicality, he on the ball, I think he's quite decent. And today I thought he was very, very good. I'll be honest.
I agree.
There's a reason why we've been linked with him in the past.
You know who really liked him?
I like him. I think he's good.
You know who really liked him?
Gene.
No, Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah,
we were linked,
I think he's amazing.
Jurgen Klopp liked him.
I think the coaching that Silver has done has been unbelievable. I think he's revived so many careers at Fulham, and Sander Berge being one. I didn't expect him to have this kind of
a very good season. He's had a very, very good season.
He is.
He's a good player. I do like him. I think he's a bit old now, but I think Wharton, yes, Wharton. Everyone's saying Wharton. Yeah, he's the one that we probably.
Gene's loving it with this revived form from Adam Wharton. I've not seen a lot of him, but everyone who talks about Adam Wharton sort of mentions his passing ability. Into dangerous areas. Still is another one. I've been mentioning it that whenever I watch Liverpool, again, look, I don't want to go hard on him because he's had an unbelievable season. Whenever I watch Liverpool, we miss that midfielder who can just play that 20, 30 yards diags from a control position, sustained attacks, and we can go again. I think it sometimes takes a couple of passes to get across, whether it's Van Dijk or McAllister or one of the midfielders on either side. And it just helps teams to get shift a lot easier. Look, we are nitpicking. We have to sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, provide perspective. Liverpool have been brilliant this season and scored a lot of goals in terms. And the facts are Liverpool create the most chances as well. So, but we're here to provide an analysis, and we have to look at the future as to where this team will go as well. But hopefully we get May, and we enjoy the moment. But go on, Bilal, before I go to this super chat.
Asim, would it be fair to say that this was our worst away performance of the season in the Premier League?
Name me.
It has to be, because we haven't lost. We haven't lost the game. It has to be, because we haven't lost the game.
True, but we can play worse and sometimes get lucky as well.
I'm just thinking. Any Arsenal 2-2. No. Surely that was a good.
I probably agree. I think first half against PSG we were shite, but
no, the Premier League.
Oh, okay. PSG. I was just about to say PSG can do that.
hands down. Yeah, but in the Premier League, I think that it would be safe to say that
from the top of my mind, I can't really think of anyone away from home. Sarib,
what
a worse performance than this away from home?
I'd probably say the cup final, isn't it?
No, in the Premier League.
Premier League.
I think first half against Newcastle, we were great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. First half Newcastle.
Everton away.
Yeah, but I think we were worse probably against Newcastle.
2 goals. We didn't lose. I don't know.
Really bad. No, there was games that have been really bad. Just can't. When was it?
Arsenal we drew. Newcastle we drew. Everton we drew.
It wasn't the big games that was the problem. Villa.
We were bad against Bournemouth.
Villa.
Yeah, Bournemouth.
Villa, I thought we started well. We let them come into the game.
Bournemouth, we struggled big time. I thought we got very.
Yeah, but we weren't good against Bournemouth. Bournemouth are a good side, though. To be fair.
Yeah. Bournemouth created ample opportunities.
I'd probably say this probably was,
Probably. Forest away promo.
No, we were dominant in the 25. 30
yeah,
minutes.
I thought we actually started well against, and they scored and then just parked the bus.
Yeah.
What's that good friend selection saying?
Yeah,
selection is saying man-to-man press has been our Achilles heel. Our big issue today was build up, in my opinion, especially from goal kick scenarios, too reliant on transition, running to progress. This is exactly what we were talking about. Thank you very much for your super chat selection, as ever. Anyone want to comment on this? I think we've already gone through it. It's obvious. And the problem is with Curtis Jones is he's here to keep possession in those because we were trying to pin them back, and that's why he, even against Everton, he was playing on top of the box and stuff like that. But when our centre backs gets pressed, then panic alarm bells start to ring. So Ali says we will bottle the league. Come on, Ali, relax. 11 points, 7 games to go. If you bottle it from here, I'm going to stop watching football. I just couldn't take this. I just could not take this. Arsenal fans, Alamin's in the chat. He goes, the dominoes are falling. We'll catch up when
dominoes, man. The only dominoes you're going to be getting is the one you're going to order after this game. You're talking about football, man. You're going to be eating pizza on your sofa.
Bilal, I want to touch on the great Mohamed Salah. I get accused of not talking about him much. I get ridiculed, criticized, bombarded on my Twitter feed where you're not going to talk about Salah. You're not going to talk about Salah. Talk to me about Salah, and I'll talk to you about Mohamed Salah as well. It's concerning for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks that he hasn't been the Mohamed Salah that we know. But your general thoughts about the dip in form regards the great man.
First and foremost, Mohamed Salah, the greatest right winger the Premier League has ever seen. One of Liverpool's greatest ever players. He's on for a record-breaking season. He's performed, he's produced the numbers, he's carried the attack. I've said all season long, especially in recent weeks, if Mohamed Salah doesn't step up, if he doesn't get a goal or an assist in a particular game, we don't end up winning that game, let alone even drawing. And Everton was the first time that we actually secured a victory this season where Mohamed Salah hasn't contributed to a goal or an assist. The first time we won a game this season. And yes, talking about his recent form, I mentioned it in the group, in the WhatsApp group. I mentioned it privately to you and earlier in the show. The cold, hard facts are that he's gone 7 games with only 2 goals and a single assist. The only mitigating factors I will say is he's not Messi. Let's not put him on that pedestal where he can absolutely do it all by himself. He needs help. No matter how much of a great player he is, he needs help. Trent's injury coincided with Bradley being injured. So we had Konza playing right back at certain points in the last 7 games. Then we had Curtis Jones playing right back, where he's got no help, no underlaps, no overlaps. Even Sobozlai, butchered his name.
I'm
Even
gonna clip that.
yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
had to be
clip
clipped.
that for the
Even
guy who
Sobozlai.
absolutely goes
Nah, I did that.
crazy
I
at
did that for
me for
you.
pronouncing names wrongly. I'm gonna clip that. What was it? 50 minutes
You know
in that
what? I tell you why. I was gonna say Bozoslai, but I thought let me keep it professional. But I should have just stuck to it.
guy.
Bozoslai's running power, moving up and down tack, protecting everything we have. Even he can't play any 1-2s with Salah. He can't even underlap or overlap or take up his positions like Jordan Henderson used to for Salah to come inside with Trent to build that mini triangle. So yeah, he has had a dip in form, but he's 32 going on to 33. He's allowed to have a downturn in form. And he hasn't got the running power and the legs he had early in the season. There were points in early in the season. Which game was it? Brighton at home, where he used to have these modes of he used to just turn on, flick of a switch, and you thought he's on it. He's absolutely determined to single-handedly win this game now. He can't switch it on anymore like that. Why? Because of his mental and especially physical fatigue. He's still a winner, so I'm not going to say mental as much, but he's
Mm,
definitely fatigued. Absolutely. Because the runs have decreased.
yeah.
But even today, he created 1 or 2 opportunities that the players could have done better with. But he needs
Jota.
help. He needs help. And thing is, if he's not given help, what do you expect? We've
Mm,
put him on such a high pedestal. Look, I don't care for Twitter fans. I don't care for social media. They're gonna say whatever they want. They're gonna cuss him. Yeah, he's Henri this, Messi that, Ronaldo, whatever. I don't care. The numbers he's produced have made him established as a Liverpool great. Not only this season, but all the seasons he's given. And now, unfortunately, I'm gonna finish on this point. We're gonna hear it. Oh, yeah, this is why we don't want to give him a new contract because he can't. It's a repeating pattern. It's a repeating pattern. Not really, because the previous 2 seasons he had a downturn in form. He had AFCON, whereas this season, if it wasn't for his goals and assists, I'm being honest with you, Conference League. That's what we'd be competing for.
Sarib, are you concerned as in the nerds? Because I don't think the contracts, even though it broke last week, I don't know who the source was, but everybody was starting getting excited again that Salah is on the verge of signing and this and that. I don't think he's on the verge of signing. They've had positive talks. You're on mute. I know that's a good thing at times. But Sarib, tell me, are you concerned where the nerds will sit down and say, look, this is the reason why we can't offer you X, Y, and Z is because this is the decline that we're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. The I don't want to call them nerds in it, but the people that
They
are
are nerds, aren't they?
currently the people with the spreadsheets open right now, instead of enjoying their Sunday evening, are probably looking at the last 7 games as a sample size, saying he's getting older and older and older. Because as you know, as days go by, it's human nature. When you're born, you're going to be a day older than what you were yesterday. So they're looking at it. Salah's getting older and older and older and older. And of the last 7 games, he was older than he was last week and older than he was the week before. There's some sort of decline, and that's what they're going to be looking at. I think because his wages are so high, and because he is at the age that he is, I think they're trying to find any kind of reason to not offer him a new deal. I think that's what it is. That's the point I was going to make. Yeah, so it does concern me to an extent. Why has it come to this is another question, but I feel like the people in charge will probably think, okay, this is what I mean. The 7 games now we have, although it's not a big sample size, they're going to be looking at it as like this happens to every single player. This is the start of because they're not looking at it for now. They're looking at, okay, this is 7 games, but when it's 70 games, it's going to be even worse. When it's another 80, 90 games, it's going to be even worse than what it is now. I think that's what we're going to be looking at. That's why I need Salah to score goals. Not only for the fact that the nerds keep him, but the fact that the rivals shut up, because anytime Salah doesn't score or gets goal and assists, they're the first to jump on him, even though he wasn't particularly great today, or whenever he is in the
What do you
most.
think the reason is, though? Is it just purely based down on fatigue?
I don't know. He does have games like this, though. He does have games like this, and it's weird that it happens to happen at this time every single season. Now you can say AFCON, you can say injury, but it always seems to happen like April every single year with Salah, whatever the context is. So I'm not surprised that it's happening, because obviously when you play so well in the season, it's going to happen eventually. You're going to have some sort of dip, and for Mo Salah, a dip is 3 games, 4 games, 2 goals in 5, which is if Darwin Núñez did that, we'd call him
the thing is, Asim, Slot. If we do sign him, and I hope we do give him a new contract, Slot needs to have the ability to say, Mohammed, I need to rest you now. 70 minutes, you've got your 1 goal, or you've only got assist, or you haven't scored today. He gives so much in the opening phase of the season in the last 2-3 years. It's caught up with him. It's absolutely caught up with him. There's no denying that. But thing is, that's where you want other players to step up. When he's looking across the line at Gakpo, and he's looking at Jota, who can't link up with him, who can't provide... When have they ever provided any service from him? This is why Bobby Firmino was a great... Not in terms of defense, offense as well, creating space, even assisting, even drawing defenders away from Salah. None of these strike. When was the last time you saw Jota draw away a defender with a run to create space for Salah, especially in his last 7 to 10 games? I don't even remember it, and yet he's played every single game. So I think some of that we should highlight is how the other attackers are failing him, as well as the midfield and as well as the right channel altogether. And all of this, passing from the back, trying to break lines, trying to give him support, for all those people who undermined Trent's importance. Listen, we're going to have a conversation next season, because unless we buy some kind of wow right back, or we change the way we play.
Okay, Tika, I agree with you a lot of those sentiments. What are you going to say, Sarib?
That's where you need to point the finger at Slot, because he's got somebody in this squad right now that has not played the minutes that he should be playing this season, that can also play on the right wing. And this caveats into the next conversation about Federico Chiesa. Now, do I think Arne Slot rates him? And now I'm looking at it like Arne Slot probably didn't, ask for this signing. I think this was a club signing. Now I've understood this, and you can see as to why. But you can't then throw Chiesa on for 7-8 minutes, expect him to make an impact in the game, and when he doesn't, you take him off and say, "Oh, I don't fancy him." Because how can a player contribute to something when you don't give him a chance? And the times that Chiesa's come on, anytime as a substitute, mate, he scored in the cup final. He was on for 10 minutes, and he should have scored another one. Even today, you saw that shot he had. Although it was straight at Leno, he gets himself in these positions. He's got a shot on goal. People like Darwin Núñez are coming on ahead of him, who are, like, I saw your tweet when the ball was played into him, and his foot's planted on the ground, so he's not quick enough to get in behind, and it's just not good enough. And then every time Chiesa gets on the pitch, he shows for the ball, whether it's left, whether it's right. I know it might be when we're chasing the game, but if you're judging him on that Plymouth game, then you judge Luis Diaz, then you judge whoever played in that game. You judge Luis Diaz, you judge Darwin Núñez, etc., etc., etc. But they pinpoint Federico Chiesa because he's not playing games. But every time he has played games, he's contributed with a goal or assist. It's fact. Bar the Plymouth game, every single time he's come on, he's looked threatening.
He can't play on the right, though. He absolutely cannot play on the right.
He can, but his favoured position. He can play that, I think, but not to the level of left or striker, essentially.
Maybe try him in the 10. We could even try him in the 10.
I was just about to say, Bilal. Because I agree. I don't think he's right wing. I know he's been playing there for over the years. Yeah, I think when on the right, you have to have the ability to go on the outside. Yeah. Now, Salah has so much creativity in terms of standing up a man and playing the pass, and that's why he's got so many assists. But when you've got Harvey Elliott, and that's one of the reasons why he doesn't play Harvey Elliott there, because he can't go on the outside as well. Chiesa is more natural at it, and he's played over the years at right wing. But I think because of his injury issues, he doesn't have the ability or the intensity at the moment, or the fitness levels maybe, because that's what we have to put it down to, because he's obviously seeing something on a daily basis in training at the moment where he doesn't trust him. But I don't think he's got the ability to go on the outside on a consistent basis, Bilal. But what he does deserve is his sort of nous to create something where if you've got concerns about his intensity levels, then surely he deserves 15-20 minutes, probably double time that is what he's been getting, where he plays in that Jota role, where if you've got a facilitator, if you want a facilitator, then he's the perfect guy for it, because he's a lot better footballer than Jota.
Absolutely. I'm just reading the comments. Gakpo is not good enough. Thing is, this is the first time me and Sarib have done a show, so I want to keep it. I want to keep it good. I want to keep it positive
Why is,
vibes.
no, but listen. Why are we speaking about Cody Gakpo? He's just come back from injury.
No, in the comments. It was in the comments.
I know, but why? Like the comment, like, football fans are so fickle. They forget everything that you've done in the season. They do it with Salah, they do it with everyone. Gakpo has been a big part as to why Liverpool are top of the league. Some were saying Gakpo won't win you the league, but
Asim,
look, he isn't going to be in a team that wins the league as the
Asim,
starting.
I did want to say one thing.
You know what? Just to clarify for the millionth time, that statement, sorry, what it means. Sorry to cut you off,
No,
Bilal.
that's fine.
But this is my reputation on the line.
You're
What I meant about that,
insecure.
what I meant about that, when look, how many times have you heard pundits just casually say that he's not going to win you the league? Now, it is a casual statement, but what they mean, Sarib, is this guy a great player? With all due respect, I don't
No.
think Cody Gakpo is a great player. He's a very good player, but Mohamed Salah is what you call a great player. And
Yes, what you should have said, what you should have tweeted instead, without Mohamed Salah in this team, Liverpool don't win the league. That's what you should have said instead.
That's a given, though. That's a given.
That's a given.
Yeah,
but that's what I meant.
Instead.
Cody Gakpo, no, because it's the same thing, isn't it? Effectively, because what I said is Cody Gakpo isn't going to win you the league. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't play a part. What I mean is he's not a great player.
Integral part.
Integral? No.
Look, to be fair to him, he scored a lot of clutch goals, to be fair to him.
Yes.
No. Listen, I've already had this conversation with in the other group. When we're talking about clutch goals, he scored predominantly against teams in the bottom half of the league.
But
and he scored them all at home. And he scored them all at home.
Real Madrid,
he's not scored any big goals away.
Fulham, mate, he scored against some
He's not scored any big goals away. One of the reasons why I wouldn't have played him today, coming in from the cold. I don't rate him particularly as a player. I would absolutely keep him in the squad. I like his attitude, even though at times, sometimes I think for a 6'4" giant, put your weight about. Everton away comes to mind. I'm thinking disgraceful performance.
He got injured at the wrong time, man.
He did. He absolutely did. We needed him. In the PSG games, we actually needed him and I was calling out for him. But Asim, I wanted to make one other point. This has been doing the rounds in the recent weeks, especially since the PSG defeat and the Newcastle defeat. A lot of people, even pundits, even so-called legends of our club or ambassadors, have been trying to downplay this Premier League victory. Inshallah, we're going to win the Premier League. Inshallah. I don't see a reason why we don't. They've been trying to downplay it. They've been trying to say, oh, yeah, this season could have been great. It's not quite a great season. Winning the Premier League is greatness. How many teams have done it? Otherwise, there'd be many other teams. How many times have we done it in the past 35 years? Once. We've done it. Slot has made a mockery of this league. I don't care what anyone says. To come in your first season against a primed Arsenal team, I don't care about the injuries. That's not my problem. Against Pep, one of the greatest ever managers that this sport has ever seen. And the way he's gone about his business, the calmness, with how many signings? I'm not even going to count Chiesa.
1.5.
I'm not even going to count Pasta Boy as a signing. To come in and to make a mockery of this league, to go to toe-to-toe with everyone. And PSG, people say, yeah, the first leg was bad, but the second leg, we took the game to them as well, and we were unfortunate. The difference? The bench. But I'm not going to go off on a tangent here. Newcastle deserved it. They overpowered us. I already anticipated us losing. But the Premier League, no one can take the shine away from us.
I will say, though, just to play devil's advocate like Asim, I do think we are good, but we're not as good as people think. And I stand by that. And that's why we didn't go very far in the cup competitions. We saw against Paris Saint-Germain. We played away from home, got absolutely battered. At Anfield, we weren't particularly that good as well.
Yeah, but Sarib, we're not Blackburn. We're not Leicester.
That's an exaggeration for me. But I feel like because this team is still very, very young and we haven't really had a proper challenge. Like I even said, this is not the year we're going to judge Arne Slot. We're going to judge him next season when he has his players and maybe without a few. No,
Sarib.
We're going to judge him. No. He's won the league. Congratulations. I'm not taking that away.
This season, we're going to judge FSG. Arne Slot is not going to be judged whatsoever until he doesn't have at least 6 to 8 players, whether that be 2 windows.
This is exactly what I just said. Next season, when Arne Slot has his players, we're going to see. We can assess him.
If he has his players.
No, there's a lot of players in this team I don't think he fancies. I'll be honest. There's the left back. I will get onto.
No, that's what I mean. If FSG back him and Al-Amin, I see your comments, but just because your team bottled it, and just because your team love finishing third, Alameen, you better be careful because if
Look, for
Nottingham
Look,
example,
Forest
we'll attend to Aluminium, May. Just
if
don't worry.
Nottingham
for
Forest
example,
finish
for
ahead of
example,
you,
look,
if Nottingham Forest finish ahead of Arsenal, you're not going to hear the end of it.
that's look. What the reason why I said that is because I
But
think
what, Sarib,
Arsenal can be better
can I
next
come
year.
into that?
Yeah,
Liverpool have not been the the Liverpool of old, but
no,
you know our some of our players are at the end of their careers. But don't you
yeah,
have to give the league teams credit as well? The likes of Brighton, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest have become a lot better as well.
yeah. I think the level from the top teams to the teams that are chasing the top teams has decreased. That's because the good team, the smaller teams getting better, and the top teams getting worse. But I think this is the most normal season we've probably had for about 7-8 years. I think City and Liverpool, sorry, set the bar so high where you'd go into every game thinking away from home or whatever it is, it's going to be perfect. Then you had
But
City and
Asim,
Arsenal do it for a couple of years.
also,
This is
sorry,
so normal now. It's so normal where a Palace away is difficult, a Fulham away is difficult, a Goodison Park away is difficult. This is so normal. This happened 10 years ago in the Premier League, 2009, 2010, more than 10 years ago. This used to happen 10, 15 years ago. You go
I
to
couldn't.
Stoke City and you lose 1-0 in a title race. West Brom, you go West Brom away, you'd lose the game 4-4. Man United drew with them on the last day of the season. But this is such a normal Premier League season that you can go away to these teams and still drop points. It's not a guaranteed result. Like when we used to watch Liverpool and City, Asim, 5 years ago, you'd go into the game thinking you've already won, and that's what would have happened. They'd be shit scared, and I don't think that fear factor is there with the smaller teams to the top teams. That gap has been
Well, sorry,
bridged.
before today, we were still on course to go 19 points for the 4th time in 6 seasons.
It
No, we
shows,
still are
yeah.
97, but now it's 94. We still are 94 points. We can still
Bar
ahead.
the top
You
eight.
can't call it a normal season then for us.
It's absolutely not a
94
normal
points.
season.
That's true, but I think half this league is very, very bad. Like the 3 teams that came up are going straight back down.
No, that's the only 3 teams that are really bad. And also, ask him to touch on the
Wolves,
point.
West Ham, United, Spurs. Look
Ask him
at
to
there's
touch
so
on the
many.
point. Ask him to touch on the point. This is the worst Robertson we've seen. Konate was injured. Allison was injured. Jota was injured. Nunes is out of form. Diaz had a purple patch. Relatively still new midfield. Okay, he's used the same players. Trent injured. 3 contracts ongoing. Slot has had so much to deal with.
100%.
So much to deal with. The credit that the guy deserves is unparalleled.
I agree.
Absolutely unparalleled. So no one can undermine this victory, and no one can say. I'm not saying it because Sarib saying. I'm saying no one can undermine this victory whatsoever.
No, I'm not
And
undermining it.
no, I know you aren't. I'm just saying if all the social media fans out there who are trying to downgrade this victory.
Okay, another player that we need to talk about is Ibrahima Konate. I thought he was really poor, Sarib, today. You've had a few opinions on Konate over the last course of the 6 months.
Yeah.
Tell me about his performance today and your general thoughts on him for the last 5-6 months.
Look, I think he has all the ability to be a top defender. Do I think he's a top defender? No. Do I think he's had games where he's looked like a top defender? Yes. And I said this back in November when everyone was hyping about saying he's world class, and I could see why they were saying that because he was unbelievably great, and that Van Dijk and Konate partnership, Liverpool weren't conceding as many goals as they are now. And since his injury, for me, Asim, the injury again, like with Gakpo, came at the wrong time in the Real Madrid game where we were going into place, etc., to the bigger games into the new year. But since then, he hasn't looked great to me. And I always said this with Konate, just you have to let it go because he has a run where he's really, really good, gets injured, goes back to square one. It's like the Naby Keita thing with Konate, but it's at centre back instead. Now, this is not me saying Konate and Naby Keita are the same level. I'm saying that it's the context of it. Like they play really, really well. There's a halt, then they take a few more games to get back into rhythm. Then there's a few errors. I don't have an agenda against Konate. What I'm saying is that there's clearly an issue. Like I never said that he is one of the best defenders in the world. I'd say he's one of the best defenders in the league. But for me, I always said I need to see more from Konate. I need to see it on a more consistent basis and see if he can overcome these injuries. Because your best ability is availability, and if you're not available, you can't play well. And that's what I have with Konate. If you're not available for regular time, like he's never gone through a season where he's played every single game. It's not happened. It's not going to happen because of the role he does do at Liverpool. And I thought, you know what, this season might be a bit different, and it has been different because the injury that he did get Asim was not down to muscle injury that he picked up running with the ball. It was an impact injury against Real Madrid. So
yeah,
what I will say this: when he gets injured, it's like it halts him. Like his form just goes from there to there, understandably. But you can't excuse his performances of late. They just haven't been good enough. And I've even in the final, he was poor against Paris Saint-Germain, home and away. I don't think he was great. Today, I don't think he was great. But Van Dijk's the same. Both of them. I think both of them are culpable for the defeats Liverpool have had. It's not just Konate, but Konate is easy to pick out because we've seen Van Dijk do it over how many years at a top level. What we haven't seen with Ibu.
Bilal, thoughts? Just to someone just said Asim called him the best channel defender in the world. I still think on his day, Ibu Konate is the best channel defender in the world. Now, someone mentioned Rudiger. I think he's a better channel defender than Rudiger. I think someone else mentioned Gabriel.
Bastoni.
I think, but the way Ibu Konate covers his right back, but it's a two-way thing. And someone mentioned it in the chat, Bilal, that any player, especially when we've got a lack of technical quality in the back line through Robertson, when you're missing Trent. Now, Trent, you probably think, Trent is going to, sort out our build-up problems. With all honesty, like proper, build-up play, Trent is not your guy. But what he does possess is one of the biggest weapons and the biggest, the potent weapons from deep areas is that switch. That switch. That switch is probably one of the biggest. And I think that switch and his passing ability on the ball is Kevin De Bruyne level. That's how good it is. And any team is going to miss that quality. So when he's missing, you're relying on Ibu Konate to come out with the ball and play switches, and that's not him. And Slot talked about it early in the season as well, where his passing ability, he's got thoughts about it where he needs to improve.
The thing is, I think people shouldn't conflate form with how good someone is. Okay, there may be a better way to describe him is like a diesel engine, slow to start. Yeah, when he comes back from injury, he takes time. But for people to question that he's not an elite defender, to people to say he's not world class, to people to not say that he's up there, let's not talk about Saliba's bozo gene moments this season, because we can undermine that. Sarib, this is not aimed at you.
Listen. I'm not even getting defensive, but why you don't just talk about the player that we're speaking about.
No. The point is, I'm addressing what the chat said.
Why are we deflecting? We have to talk about
what the chat said.
You have to be consistent.
No.
If you're going to praise him when he's really, really good, you criticize him when he's very, very bad.
You're missing the point. I read Alamin's comment in the chat, and I'm addressing that point. Otherwise, I would never mention another player.
Yeah, but Alamin, forget Alamin, man. He's just
no, of course.
Man. He's just trolling.
I had to address it. Focusing on Konate himself is sad because the point we've had our drop-offs. All our front runners have had drop-offs at the same point. Van Dijk, Konate, and Salah. Consistently, they were arguably our best three performers, with Gravenberch, who's also had a drop-off. Konate, all I'm going to put it down to simply is just form, a lack of a dip in form, as well as missing a natural right back and someone, like you said, who can beat the press. There's more onus on him. There's more pressure on him. But his defensive actions, look, he had a wayward header against Everton, but besides that, he had a good game. Today's highlighted because, we had 3 chances, but individually, if you look at what was his mistake today? Yeah, he tried to Zidane pirouette inside.
Did you say Konate had a good game against Everton?
No. I didn't say he had. I said besides that one mistake, there was 2 bozo moments from Van Dijk and 2 bozo moments from Konate. Neither of them led to a goal or a chance because of Konate against Everton. Yeah, name me a point in the game where you thought he wasn't good against Everton.
As a 6'4" defender, you expect him to be dominant in the air. When Liverpool have got 4 set pieces goal this season, just off corners, they've got 4 goals of corners.
No, we're talking about Everton. We're talking about Everton here.
Against Everton, both Van Dijk and Konate struggled in there against Beto. They were bullied by Beto. The same thing happened today against Muniz. The same thing happens to them every time they face somebody physical that's decent in the air. I've seen Konate struggle against Kai Havertz in the air. The problem is when somebody matches them physically, they struggle, both of them. In the final against Newcastle, Alexander Isak is physical. Both Van Dijk and Konate struggled. So this is obviously a problem somewhere. We speak about how dominant Konate is physically. Why is he struggling against strikers that are, somewhat physical? That's why
I blame Van Dijk.
Just to come in, Konate's got a better record in the air than Van Dijk this season.
Exactly
thank
what I
you,
was
but
going to say to you. I
exactly.
blame Van Dijk more. He's had
Van
more of a
Dijk does
dick
more
streak
of
this
the
season.
Rolls
How can you
Royce role,
say
innit?
Ibu's not good in the air then? He's got a better aerial record than Van Dijk this season.
Yeah, but there was stats even last year that Van Dijk aerially wasn't as good as Saliba, and I don't think Saliba wasn't good aerially or something like that.
Saliba's not good in the air.
I don't know. Yeah, he isn't. I don't know. I don't know what the stats showing.
Sorry,
I know
let me correct you.
from what I see, both of them recently have not been good aerially.
Sorry, let me correct you. When you're talking about
physical
physicality,
strikers, they've not been great to me.
when you're talking about physicality and bullying and aerial challenges, there's only 3 strikers in the course of the last 2 seasons that I've seen give any trouble whatsoever to Van Dijk and Konate, or especially Van Dijk. Raul Jimenez, 1. It's Alexander Isak, 2.
Physical.
And Beto for Everton.
Physical.
3 strikers
and
out of a possible 19. And Muniz today surprised me. I was shocked. But listen, Van Dijk has been worse than Konate over the past 6 to 7 weeks for me at important times.
And I don't have
Konate
an
hasn't been great. Konate hasn't been great, but Van Dijk's levels have dropped further.
The difference is, Bilal, is that we know Van Dijk can play at a top level. That he can go shit to good very, very quickly. With Konate, when he plays bad,
the Champions League final performance.
It knocks on. I'm not forgetting that, but that's 3 years ago. We're talking about now. I don't care about 3 years ago. We have to talk about now.
You forgot earlier this season, up until his knee injury.
Exactly. So that's why I'm saying since he's come back from his injury, the injury hasn't helped him. He's not been good enough. That's what I've said.
But that's what I'm saying is form. I'm saying it's form. It's not ability. That's form, Sarib. It's not ability. His ability is still world class, and he will once again reach that level, inshallah.
I even said we're not questioning his ability. He has all the traits to be a top world class defender. The point is, every time he's at that level, he gets injured and he goes back to square one. So you can never be world class when you consistently do this. When it happens to you every single season.
So what you're saying is, when he reaches that level, you can't class him as world class is because he gets injured far too often.
Yes, because I think
you don't have concerns about his ability.
What about Thiago?
No, I don't have concerns about Thiago. Maybe in possession, Thiago again. The reason why he's not going to be regarded as Modric, Kroos in that stratosphere of player, technically yes, he was, but it's because he was too injury prone. When you talk about the best midfielders of our generation, Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Modric, Kroos, who mentions Thiago Alcantara? He should be in that conversation. He's not. There's a reason for it, because he was injured a lot. Konate, there's no problem with his ability. I mean, 1v1, he's very, very good. He's very, very quick. He's very, very strong. I do think in possession, he can be a bit better. I do believe that. I do think he doesn't possess the... Look, let me put it simply. The 2 players that left in the summer, Asim, Matip and Thiago, those are slot players. Matip has got the diag. He's very, very good in possession. He's got the running ability. He's very, very good defensively. And
I don't think Matip had the diag.
I think he did. His range of passing was very,
he had a little dink. He had a little dink, not a dive.
His range of passing was very, very good. I remember in the Champions League final.
Matip's technique. Matip's technique didn't allow him to play a 60, 70, 80-yard ball.
Because we had Van Dijk doing it.
It was a side foot 40-yard pass. That's what it was.
I wish I could. I tweeted this clip a couple of years ago.
Come on,
the Champions League final where he played it was like a
what
through the air to Robertson.
What Matip had is his carrying ability.
That he had as well.
Side foot whip into midfield.
Yeah,
because he used to be a midfielder as well.
I didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't know that. But
he could break the lines with his on-ball ability. He could break the lines with that.
I think his range of passing was very, very impressive. On the ball, he's very, very good. And I think that's why Jurgen Klopp, even when he was fit and available, majority of the time, he'd play. Even start of last season, he started with Joel Matip until he's injured.
I absolutely love Matip because he read the game so well. His IQ was so well. His performances over the years were very, very, went under the radar because of the great Van Dijk next to him, and he obviously, for obvious reasons, got the headlines. But I think he's one of those players like Wijnaldum. You didn't really appreciate what he did.
Because of how good Van Dijk was and how good
exactly.
That's who we miss right now. We're talking about our ability to play from the back. If we had Matip, that's one way you can beat
exactly.
You can build up from the back.
Very rarely, Bilal, for a guy who didn't possess a lot of pace, very rarely you saw him caught out of position. And those are like Sami Hyypiä, for example. Very rarely caught in stupid no man's land because they read the game so well.
IQ was brilliant.
He was genuinely, I think back now, Joel Matip was genuinely unbelievable. Like when Van Dijk was out, he stepped up so well. And that year that Van Dijk got injured, Matip really took the reins and unfortunately got injured, because I do believe that if
Matip
Matip
is
stayed fit for the whole season, Liverpool win the title. I genuinely believe he was that good. And we've seen it, like October 2021, he was player of the month of the Premier League. And how many times do we see defenders not called Van Dijk or Diaz or Saliba get player of the month? And Joel Matip was able to do that. So I think we appreciate now that he's not here. But at the time when you have the level of Virgil van Dijk, etc., and the new shiny toy in Konate, it's very hard to.
Asim, this is what makes me think. The comment from Alex Dean Hyson from Bournemouth. I think he could play that Matip role for us in terms of if his ability and his footballing IQ, defensive IQ, is on that level that he won't get beaten. Because his position
is Dean Huyson predominantly left-footed though?
Yeah, he is.
I prefer Van Heck though. I think Van Heck's better in possession, and I think
I've not seen Van Heck.
I like Van Heck a lot. I do like Van Heck, and he's now starting for the Netherlands regularly. So I think that's something I think we can look at. Is again Brighton, 100 million.
Thing is, when people say Dean was slow.
Well, you know, Avi's in the chat. Do you think one of these sort of impact on his form is that his contract talks? Like, for example, we talk about Trent. Okay, not even Trent, because obviously he's not come out, but the way Salah and Van Dijk have handled it, where they want to stay, they've been quite open, in those interviews as well, and they've done interviews compared to the lack of interviews when it comes to Trent. Do you think this is troubling Konate, where his mind is not settled as well, Sarib? Because those guys are legends. They can handle a lot of situations, but Konate has always had this Real
Boys,
Madrid.
I don't know if you can hear me, but
sorry, Bilal, your Wi-Fi is just as good as the Konate's form at the moment. So come back in if you have to. Sarib, do you think contract talks or lack of contract talks is affecting him?
I think there's an aspect of that. I think it's very hard not to. And I think Paris Saint-Germain have been one of the clubs that have been really spoken about. Obviously, he's from Paris. I don't know if he grew up supporting Paris Saint-Germain, but French. Now he's starting for the national team on a regular basis. He's got the vice captaincy of France. Everyone speaks about his leadership qualities at Liverpool. Very, very young. I think Paris Saint-Germain could be an option for him. I do think that he is waiting for Liverpool to see how they function in the transfer market. But if he doesn't sign a new contract, Asim, by October, I'd say we have to look at even before October. I think it's so tricky because he's got 2 years left on his contract this summer, right? If he doesn't sign
he ends in 2027, I think.
Yeah, so this summer, 2 years left. 2 years. If we don't sell Konate this summer, that's why we need to know. That's why I said October is a bit late. We need to know if he's going to sign a new contract, probably by June, because if he doesn't sign a new contract, clubs are just going to wait. If we get into a position next year where he's got 1 year left on his deal, clubs are just going to wait 4 months and sign him on a free transfer. So if he's going to leave, he's going to have to leave this summer. But then if Konate leaves, you've got to go then get a proper centre.
Asim, he's only got 1 year left. Ibu's only got 1 year left. He's not 27. He's 26.
No, it's 2 years left on his contract. 26.
No, it's not. It's 26.
He's got 1 year left on his deal.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying to you. We're in the same position as Van Dijk and Salah and Trent. I've been saying this all season.
Sell him this summer. Sell.
1 year. Wow.
Sell. Yeah. I would sell this summer.
Robertson, Kelleher.
Avi said 2 years. He confused us.
I would sell.
Actually, no. One guy goes 2 years. Let me check.
It's not 2 years. Konate, Kelleher, and Robertson are leaving at the end of next season.
Which is
on a free if we don't tie them down. Where are people getting 2 years from?
Current deal is set to expire in 2026. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You're right.
So now or never, then, isn't it, Bilal?
I would sell him. I would sell him in the summer.
It's exactly the same situation with Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent. But I think if you sell him, that's another player FSG have to put money in for. Then, how many players are they going to buy?
I'm telling you right now. I know we're going to see the heights of the Premier League, but in these next 5 or 4 years, there is going to be some pain for Liverpool fans. There will be a season where we're 5th or 6th and we're trying to get into the top 4. I just know it, because we're going to be left short in the summer. There's going to be too many players to replace. We won't have the funds. It will happen. The same thing that happened in 22, 23. I genuinely believe that. So I'm just going to let everyone know. I genuinely believe there's going to be some season where Liverpool have some sort of doom and gloom. I don't know what you think of that, but looking at the situation we're in.
I think it just depends on the it just depends on the level of investment that we get. Yeah, track record. We're always a couple of players
You base
short.
it on that, though, don't you?
Exactly. So I tend to agree. Couple of super chats before we move on. I want to ask you and get your thoughts about another defender that's been mentioned in the chat. But before that, City, thank you very much, mate. Big up for the super chat. Would be bad if we don't sign a physical defense midfielder this summer. Not convinced Szoboszlai is the answer as a 10. We need more movement in the attacking areas. We've covered that, and we probably agree with that as well. Thank you very much for that. And then Muhammad Kibriya, big up, one of our own. First loss in 26 matches. Slots Reds march on. Shanti Rako. Andy, Sel Nunes, and Jota bringing 2 physical 9s. Diaz is unsure about. Sel Nunes and Jota bring 2 physical 9s. I think it's Nunes is going to leave, Andy. I don't think Jota is going to leave, but there's a massive question mark. Massive question mark. I think what Liverpool will probably have an attitude with a lot of players where they've probably shortlisted 3-4 priority areas, and then we'll see what happens, where they'll have a short list of potential replacements if an offer comes in for X, Y, and Z. I think that is the attitude. We're not going to be a club where we're going to highlight 7-8 play areas and go and do it in one summer. It's just not going to happen. And the great, I was just going to say the great Avi, bloody hell, you would have clipped me, but I don't think it's gonna. I don't think that's going to happen. The great reset that he's talking about. I see Liverpool bringing 4-5 players. I don't see 7, 8, 9 coming in. I don't think it. I'll eat humble pie live on every single show if that happens. Like I said, I trust the manager in highlighting those issues, but I don't trust the owners. I'll be honest with you. There's one more. Schlotterbeck we've talked about a few times, but here's a defender that keeps popping up. He's asked me a couple of times. I have to bring it up.
Schlotterbeck would be an excellent replacement.
It was Murillo.
Oh, good player.
From Forest.
Yeah. I think he's what? How old is he?
23, I think. I think 23 or going to be.
He's got a shot on him, though. I don't know if you watched the Villa game, Asim, but he had a shot in the last minute.
Bad, didn't he?
He can pass the ball as well.
22.
Wow.
He's younger than me, bruv.
Yeah, he's going to be 23 end of the beginning of the summer. Or middle of the summer, rather.
Is he tall enough to be the Van Dijk replacement?
The thing is, I haven't seen his aerial stats. I don't know how bad or how good he is, but in terms of defending, positioning, and passing, he's done well.
Someone asked how old I am. I'm nearly 30, mate. No, I'm joking. I'm 23.
MashaAllah.
Still a baby.
Would you take Murillo?
No.
Why?
No, I think he's a good player, but I don't see him as the leader of a back line. I'd prefer someone I want someone faster. I want someone fast. The thing is, people are talking about who we're going to buy. If we go with flying fullbacks, then we need an elite TDM. We need an elite 6. If we don't go for flying fullbacks, then we could go for a volume passer, someone, a deep lying playmaker type person.
Would you take Sven Botman from Newcastle?
No, not after his ACL.
I think there's still something there.
Too many injuries, too many recurring injuries. He's injured again.
Defenders, I don't think an ACL is that bad. Because he's not pace reliant anyway.
No. What is Sarib? He's had too many recurring injuries since he's come back. I haven't seen a sustained period.
We're happy with Konate then. We're happy with Konate. He's got the same thing, recurring injuries.
Yeah, but this is why for me we need 2 centre backs. No, this is why for me we need 2 centre backs. Konza's not trusted. I don't think Konza's good enough, even though he had a decent run. And Gomez is unfortunately too many injuries. We need minimum 2 centre backs. What's not good enough
is we've bloody got 81 likes so far. There's about nearly 700 people watching. That's what's not good enough.
By the way, just on Konza, guys, we're gonna come back to that show, where we sat there and be in our predictions. And please, you're gonna listen to what Asim predicted as his young player of the season. I'm not gonna say too much.
What was it? I actually forgot.
We'll come back to it. Who do you think he said? Who do you think he said?
Wait, young player of the season.
Must have said Konza. Sarib's going off tonight,
Give me a clue.
I'm giving you a clue. You're a
It has to
Liverpool
be
fan.
Konza.
You're
It has to
biased.
be Konza. Has to be
Wallahi,
Konza.
wallahi, for what? Liverpool's young player this season?
No, you
Yeah.
said player of this Premier League
Premier
player of the
League.
season.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
You said Jerome Kwanzaa.
Jarell Konza. But the thing is, based off last season, I
Well,
wouldn't
you
know.
thought no, but that's the thinking was you thought Kwanzaa's going to be starting centre back for Liverpool this season, no?
No, I said on form, and that was right, isn't it? Slot started him in the first day of the Premier League.
Asim, I
So
wouldn't mind Mark.
Slot thought he's the starting centre back as well, and then
I would-
maybe he just got a harsh reality check that this guy's not good enough in the duels, especially if you want your right back to be going bombing up and down.
No, that's a funny show. We're gonna do that show. That's funny.
I don't want to go full Brexit, but I wouldn't mind Mark Gueye from Palace as a third choice if we keep Konza and Gomez, because they're free hits as far as I'm concerned. Plus they're homegrown. All the three.
Say that again, Bilal.
Mark Gueye from Crystal Palace. I wouldn't mind if Van Dijk signed. Konate's there,
yeah.
but he's got a year left on his contract. 40 million, I reckon we could get him for. But we'd have to keep Konza and Gomez because
We have
them
to keep
two.
him.
Thing is, you need 4 centre backs. You need 4 fit available centre backs, and Konza's not good enough, and Gomez is always injured. But I think those two making a 5 would compensate for not having 4. And plus, they're not on high wages. They're not on high wages. Konza's practically he's not going to want to leave. He'd rather stay there, fight for his place.
I think
how much you going to really get, unless Newcastle or whatever offer something ridiculous. Then you have to, but then you still have to go and get 2 centre backs for me.
Avi says Hato and Hoyson to come in, centre back option sorted for the next 5 to 7 years. As a partnership, I don't think that works.
That doesn't work at all. They're both left-footed.
This is the problem with Avi, isn't it? He just thinks it's FIFA.
This ain't FIFA.
I don't think that doesn't work on FIFA.
Huh?
That doesn't even work on FIFA. The 2 left-foot centre backs is too
well,
imbalanced.
it works for Avi. Anything else that we need to discuss, boys? We've been going for an hour and a half, a bit of an early one today. Bradley,
Mama Dashvili's performance. Mama Dashvili's performance for Valencia.
I didn't watch it. I just saw the clip where he saved a penalty. Did you watch the game?
He made a brilliant save as well at 1-1, I believe. Brilliant save, cat-like reflexes. And the thing is, he's been getting a lot of stick this season because he's underwhelming performances and where Valencia's position is, but against arguably the best team in the league besides Barcelona to put in that performance
yesterday.
Yeah,
8 saves.
Jonathan Tah I would take on a free, but he's 29. So how much are we going to give him a sign-on fee, bonuses, and wage?
What are we doing here, man? We're Liverpool Football Club for crying out loud. Let's talk about Jonathan Tah.
Jonathan Tah is a very good player.
Jonathan Tah.
Don't get it twisted. Tah is a very good player. Do not get it twisted. But he's 29. That's the problem.
I'm not moved. If we're gonna get somebody from Bayer Leverkusen, we're not going to be getting Jonathan Tah. I used to rate the guy that I thought we were going to sign, but even now I don't rate the other guy.
I think Al-Amin befriended David Coote over the weekend.
The more I think about it, guys, and I'm moving away from the centre back area, Bilal. I just think the way we probably we can't replace Trent because nobody has a right foot like that in world football. The more I think about sorry?
Not just Rabi's comment, sorry.
What was the comment?
Oh, mate.
Go on.
No, just read it. You have eyes. I don't even want to say it.
Avi's going on a mad one, isn't he?
The more I think about it, the more I think Jeremy Frimpong is going to be a Liverpool player.
And I hope so. And I absolutely hope so. I think it'd be a brilliant signing.
I just think
I think he's good. We play him. On the overlap, he will be insane. We don't have anybody to go on the outside, so now we got somebody that can go on the outside. Frimpong.
No, look. The more I think about it, I think he is like he might not start, but I think if we're going to expect Bradley to be Trent, it's not going to happen. To put to play 60-yard, Hollywood balls, like proper good Hollywood balls, and break the lines is not going to be that. But if we want him to be a creative outlet and bomb up and down that right flank, then he's going to pull his hamstring. Let's be honest. So what do? We go, because if Trent's going to leave, we still have to have a creating outlet. And I understand why we've been linked with Martin Fernandez because he's plays a lot of passes. His progressive passes.
Arbeloa.
Per 90 are very, very good. Sorry?
Arbeloa.
Yeah, I will. But the more I think about it, I think it makes sense. It's an FSG type of signing where he's a creative outlet. We can use him bits and bobs in right channels where we're chasing games. He can play right wing as well. If we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Chiesa, and then he can do shifts. Especially if we bring someone like Hato, we might have to play a bit more conservative on the other side. If we're coming up against a Man City or Arsenal and stuff like that. But at home, I don't see any problem playing with Kirkes and Frimpong because they might be really attacking, but the good thing about them is they've got recovery pace. So I don't have a problem playing them to Anfield. I don't mind, especially if you've got a DM like Baleba who can cover ground really well. But the more I think about it, I think Frimpong is going to be a Liverpool player, especially he's going to count as a homegrown talent as well. So
Yeah, you will.
Would you take him, Sarib?
Yeah, mate. I did it on my Liverpool 11. I think he's going to be the starting right back at Liverpool next season.
Can't defend though.
But then I genuinely believe that he will be one of the. I said Kirkes, him, and
Can Kyle Walker defend?
Ekitike.
Kyle Walker, he can defend in 1v1 situations.
Yeah, very good 1v1.
That was his best strength.
He would be perfect for Liverpool. It's ironic. He'd be really, really perfect for Liverpool. Only if he was fit and available, though. And now Trent's leaving, and he's good physically. He's good 1v1. He's good going forward. He's good defensively. And you're probably going to be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, Sarib." But good Asim.
No, try us.
Reece James.
Now.
No, I think his profile is a good We need that kind of profile as a right back for Arne Slot team.
He's going to get injured as well.
No, that profile. I don't know any other player similar to that. Like that.
He's a unique profile.
Yeah,
in terms of profile and ability,
he's perfect.
He's unbelievable.
There's no one else.
Yeah,
one defending.
That's what we need. Someone like that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Why are you not laughing? It's true. Look, now Asim said it, like, oh yes, Asim.
But thing is, Asim, I wouldn't mind if we don't get Frimpong. I wouldn't mind Ola Aina.
Look, can we get Bilal? Sorry again. Can we get rid of this myth? Sarib thinks that people agree with me more because it's like BNR.
It's true, bro. It's true.
No,
Isak, Gakpo, Nunes. We go back and back.
The chat do not have any loyalty. I'm telling you that now.
Sorry, but I'll give you your flowers.
They are ruthless.
No. Asim, let me interject. Sorry, but I'll give you your flowers. You bring vibrant energy. You bring youth. But some of your takes are wild, bro. Some of your takes are absolutely wild. I just think, you know what?
There's a shapeshifter.
That's it.
What's one of these? A shapeshifter. Sorry, what's a shapeshifter?
You're basically saying when an opinion doesn't go your way, you then shift to the next opinion and go like, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what he's basically saying.
Ooh, okay. Is that what he means? I asked him yesterday. He told me
that's why I got.
Oh, it could be like a chameleon, or at its worst extent, it could be Two-Face. But I don't think he's saying you're Two-Face.
See, look.
It's true. I listened to Asim more than Sarib, but I stopped listening to Sarib when he said he loves Cody Gakpo as a footballer.
When Sarib speaks, you listen. Because when I speak, I only talk facts. And this is another fact that I spoke. And look at Jazzy B.
TK,
How
okay.
many likes have we got?
85 last time I got told.
Adam
is in the comment.
Just on Conor Bradley.
My first live show, and I can't even get 100 likes.
Just on Conor Bradley.
That's embarrassing.
Did you see him like... to be fair, I didn't see him. I didn't see Conor Bradley too much on the touchline. I saw him a lot more inside, and it looked like he's improved his game. Conor Bradley, especially today, I thought he was a lot more inside than usual.
No. I think Conor Bradley's biggest strength is when you've got Robertson wide. He generally likes to.
No, go. I'm sorry, sir.
He generally likes to have one inside. So the actual positioning from Curtis Jones. Can you remember when Robertson misplaced that pass?
Yeah,
that's the sort of space that Slot wants his right back to be, and then to drive into that space, and then for the goal he gave it to Diaz as well. So that is the area that he wants his right back to play. So it wasn't anything too different, in my opinion, anyway. But I think that is his biggest strength. So let's see what happens.
Spence
What do
and
you take this one?
Livramento. Oh, he's
Asim, can you
brilliant.
drop the bomber?
He's top, by the way.
Singo,
This-
Kanusu, and Diomande are three brilliant
Yeah, I need to
Uh,
start playing FIFA, man.
defensive
These
players.
guys,
Singo, no,
Wilfred
he's having a good
Singo.
season. He plays for Monaco. He's very
Yeah,
good on
he
manager as
he
well.
could play right back with ease, but I think in due course he'll be a brilliant centre back as well.
He's so good. He's 6'3".
Monster
Ridiculous talent.
profile.
Yeah, 23 years of age.
Okay.
I think
Who is this?
Coyote might cost a bit of money though. Whoever saying
No, he's already gone Brentford. He's at Brentford now.
yeah, he's on loan from Brentford to Fiorentina at the moment. So he's on loan.
Okay. Jazzy, who's the player that we've been speaking to his reps?
Yeah, they're not going to let you breathe, Asim. They're going to come for you every show. That bomb.
I look, I will give a nudge. Look, we live in a ruthless world. People, still I get Nunes starts in my comments, but
Rightfully so. You deleted the comment.
that was wrong of me. I shouldn't have deleted it because that's
Cook him,
probably
Dad. Cook him, because he cooked me for
the only time I deleted my.
we won't mention who
my-
advised you. Out of respect, we're not going to mention who advised you.
Yes, I'm not going to mention his name.
That's why you don't. This is why, guys, you don't.
That wasn't
you
my
don't.
style. That wasn't my
That's
style.
why
But
you
you have to
don't-
understand when you get info, at times you're going to be wrong.
No, but Asim, this is why you don't take info from the blue chip. I told you this before.
No, it wasn't Avi. It wasn't Avi.
But in retrospect, there was reasons he was meant to start. A lot of the journos had him as starting that day. It wasn't just you.
Yeah. Look, I won't drop the bomber, but what I would tell you is we are really, really interested in Huijsen, where I think Liverpool has gone as far as sending his team a proposal for the summer.
Wow.
Was it not Richard Hughes
That's
that
not my
signed him
info,
to-
though, and that's not my
Hughes-
bomber. Huh?
Was it not Richard Hughes that got him to Bournemouth? He negotiated the deal for him to sign at Bournemouth.
don't know.
If I'm not
I
mistaken.
don't know.
It might have
But
been.
it makes sense to me.
But
Wow.
the only problem with Huijsen is if Real Madrid are at the table, I don't
Yeah.
think we get him.
No
That's
chance.
the only problem. But he takes every
No, Sarib, no, you're a Liverpool. You're a Liverpool fan. You're a Liverpool fan. You're a Liverpool fan.
Dean, he knows his stuff, man. He says no, Hughes has gone.
Cheers. Thank you.
Sudakov, Avi's not here to wax lyrical about this lad. I'm gonna watch him one day. I'm soon. I know he tweeted about him today, so I'm gonna watch him. I promised to Avi and Jazzy that I'm gonna watch Sudakov. Albert Unks is in the building, but guys,
Big
Bradley
up,
provided
Unks.
the assist, and it wasn't the lack of strength. It was starting Curtis Jones. That was the issue. Look,
Yeah.
I tweeted at the end of the game. I think Conor Bradley's a better right back than all the kids. I call them kids, but they are 18, 19-year-olds that we've been linked with. Conor Bradley is a better right back compared to them. But the problem, Unks, Conor Bradley has is his game. Like Trent can have a relatively quiet game and pick a pass from 50 yards and still grab the headlines. It's the ability that he has on the ball. With all due respect, Conor Bradley Unks doesn't have that ability. So how does he create space for like some Mohamed Salah and the 10 that we need or we're going to bring in is by creating space, by running. So he is the Andy Robertson on the right-hand flank that what we saw over the years. But the problem with that sort of game intensity is, Unks, that he's gonna his hamstring's gonna pop. Let's be honest, and it has popped, and he's shown, and the thing is, he likes to tackle as well. So he's brilliant on the duels. He's brilliant on the big nights like Real Madrid under the lights at Anfield and stuff like that. But over the course of a season, you need to mature your game out, and this is the reason why we need to bring, another right back. So let's see what happens. If he can mature his game out, then we might have something. But he hasn't proved that at the moment, has he?
No.
I think this deserves a mention, guys. We haven't mentioned the likes of Luis Diaz today, Bilal. That one, he played well in midweek, even though we had a massive debate on him about his ability to go on the outside. But whenever I talk about, and you've not been his biggest fan as well, Bilal, but we must admit, whenever this lad puts a Liverpool t-shirt on, that one thing that he always provides, and we've all talked about complacency and a lack of attitude and lack of mentality today, where this guy gives it 110%, regardless of the occasion, regardless of the opponent.
Commitment, fight, attitude. I can never say anything against Lucho. Never, ever, ever.
Thank you.
The last 2 games, he's done very well. Yeah, I've still got issues with him in terms of creating separation, taking on. Look, he had ample opportunities against Everton to take on when he's one-on-one with a defender. I don't know why he doesn't believe in himself, even going on the outside. But in terms of commitment and effort, I think he's up there. He's up there. Even, and the thing is, he never shies away. He never shies away. He'll say, pass me the ball. He'll try to do something. He'll try to create something in his own way at times, even though it's frustrating. And today, honestly, I don't know. I cannot believe he didn't start him today. Especially based on his performance last game, being our best attacker.
Sarib, does Lucho deserve more flowers or deserve more credit?
Sorry, one moment. Sorry, guys. I would keep Lucho out of the 3. I would sell Jota and Nunes. I would keep Lucho. I would keep.
So if you sell Diaz, who would you bring in realistically? Let's say you get 50 million for Diaz in the summer.
50 million. If Nico Williams is willing to come, I would try to get him.
Sorry, not Diaz. You're keeping Diaz, aren't you? So let's say you get 30 million for Jota. Is that realistic?
I think we can get 35, 40. If it's Saudi money, small.
I'll give you 35. Let's say he goes back to Wolves for 35 million and you're getting rid of Nunes. Let's say I'll give you 60 million.
70.
Okay, so we get about 110.
We might get 70.
We get about 110.
100 million. Let's round it off.
I want 2 different profile of strikers. So my choice would be Cunha. Listen, we're not getting Alexander Isak, man. Forget it. Pedro, forget it, mate. It ain't happening. I'm sorry, I can't see it. I would want Cunha, and I hope I pronounce his name correctly, Hugo Ekitike. Because it's 2 different profiles of strikers. I don't want the same profile. I know.
So you want Cunha and Ekitike?
Yeah. Funny on Ekitike. Ekitike's name spelled backwards is also Ekitike. If you didn't know.
There we are. There's our short box stop for tomorrow. I'm not convinced on Ekitike, Sarib.
Yeah,
maybe I need to look into him a lot more. Maybe I'm just judging him on the eye test from what I've seen bits of, admittedly. But I'm not feeling it.
Who would you buy if you had 2 choices of 2?
Me.
Both of you.
I would sign. I mean, I would rather sign 2 strikers than a new left wing.
Yeah. Who? Name 2. Realistic ones.
Who's Samu?
Oh, is that Porto? The Spanish kid.
Meridian. He was at Atletico Madrid, I think, before, and he's at Porto. Chelsea.
Yeah. And you start playing FIFA.
He was on loan. Who was he on loan at? He was bagging goals in La Liga. He was at loan at someone. The blue team was.
Yeah, he's at Porto now. He's like a Lukaku type, like a Drogba type of profile, something like that.
He's also very good on FM. He's won Ballon d'Or on my FM save as well. He's very good. But I think Jota stays. I'd probably keep Jota. Alaves. That's it. Thank you very much. Not Getafe. Alaves. Yes. See, Sarib knows ball. I'd keep Jota. I'd sell Diaz because I know a fit Jota can give me more than a fit Luis Diaz. The problem is, can Jota keep fit? Probably not. But I still think he can score you a goal out of nothing. Diaz can go on 5 games scoring goals, then 6 games without scoring, and I think that's too inconsistent. Whereas Jota doesn't need to play well to score goals. And I've seen Jota score 15, 16 league goals in a season. Even last season, Jota scored quite a few goals. Diaz, I think there's going to be times where he's going to be too inconsistent. With strikers, it's a bit different because when you play on the wing, you have to be top level, beat your man. When you're a striker, you just have to make one run into the box and just tap it in, and people are going to be lauding you like you're, the best striker ever. So I think with Jota, I'd probably keep him because he can finish on his left, right, centrally. Diaz probably will sell. Probably there's some value there. Barcelona probably will pay big money for him if they financially get sorted. I think the Saudi
haven't got any money. They've got no money.
Yeah, but look, there's always going to be clubs. I think there's more clubs in for Diaz than Jota, which is why I think there's more value in selling Diaz than Jota.
Absolutely.
So I'd sell Diaz, probably sign. I'd go for Delap and I'd go for Ekitike personally.
And you,
I think with Gakpo and Chiesa, I think we'll be fine.
Look, I don't want to sit on the fence, but I'm not decided on the number 9. but I would take Cunha.
Hmm.
I'm not decided. Maybe I need to watch a few more players. Someone
keep.
has asked a question about what do you think of Rodrigo Muniz?
What are we
Is he-
doing? We're Liverpool, man.
we just are we
Fucking hell.
judging a player on one game? Yeah,
He has got 20 league goals over 2 seasons, but
No,
I
no,
think
no,
20
no, no,
23.
no. Please, no.
23 goals. Fair enough. Even though.
No. He's 23.
Oh.
I would shake your hand right now for this. And
So
I
would
know
I.
Absolutely.
I'd kiss your hand for that.
you can kiss my hand anyway.
I will.
Harvey touches my feet. You know who is admin tonight? I'm sure this is not Junior. I'm telling you now, it's not Junior. Asim, what Samu? How do you know that?
I'm Meridian.
Meridian.
Yeah, I'm Meridian. Yeah. He has. That's not his last name. He changed his last name though. He doesn't use that last name anymore. He goes by another
I
name.
know who this is. This is Zach. Zach, our new clipper.
New clipper, eh? Big up, Zach.
Yeah, this is Zach.
Oh,
No
hello,
wonder, because I knew this is not Waxy or Junior. Waxy will be asleep.
And it's too sophisticated and smart for Avi.
Now I've just clicked on. This is with Zach. Unks says
I don't
Cunha
rate
is
him.
my guy.
I don't rate him, but do you think because he's quite young, he can finish when he's given the chance? At the World Cup, he was quite decent. Now he's not starting for his club at the moment. Okay, before anyone has a go at me, before you curse my family and my lineage, let me finish. So there's a player at Paris Saint-Germain who's not in the first.
No. Don't say Ramos. Do not say Ramos.
Okay, that's what I was
I
going to say.
don't think he's good enough.
Do
Sarib.
not say
I'll
Ramos.
ask. He will be on the market in the summer as well. He will be on the market.
Would you assign
As a backup, yes. As a backup, I would take him, Sarib. Not as a starter.
Gonzalo Ramos?
Yeah, as a
Ramos.
backup, I wouldn't mind taking.
yes or
finish
no?
off,
Yes or no on Ramos?
No.
Personally, no.
Let's
For
see what
me,
the chat think. Let's see what the
I
chat
ask.
think. Register says yes.
He's
Is
not
he
27.
27? Is he
He's
27?
not, bro. He's 23. What are you
No,
on?
he's 20, he's 20
2001.
24. He might look 27.
He's
He's
2001.
only good in penalties.
Another name that's gone quiet is Semenyo. That's just like
Well,
simmered.
the links resurfaced today again.
Strong
wow.
With Semenyo, I have got a good source within the club that the club like him. Whether that means Liverpool, sign him, it could depend on a few things. Whether they think he's the right price and stuff like that. He would cost 60-70 million pounds. Is it the deal that Liverpool strike? Liverpool maybe value him around about 40 to 50 million pounds, but Liverpool will probably have this problem a lot in the summer, where they value a player at 40-50 million pounds, and the selling club, the whole of Europe, the whole world knows Liverpool have money to spend, relatively speaking. I don't know how much that is, but we haven't signed any players last season, and we're gonna have to reinvest, especially with the contract situation, Trent going. So the whole world knows Liverpool are coming to the transfer market, and that already sort of increases the price as well. I want Liverpool to look higher and better than Semenyo, but what is appealing is his versatility in terms of how comfortable he is with his right foot and left foot, and his taking on ability. I've looked into him a bit. He takes a lot of shots, and he doesn't score enough goals. So that's a concern. High volume, but that's why Liverpool, I think, classify him as maybe a 35 million to a 40 million pound player, rather than a 60-70 million pound player, and that could be a deal breaker. But his versatility, playing up top as well, holding the ball up, he's got the natural side for it. He can do a job. But for your 60-70 million pound player, I'd rather go spend a bit more on Nico Williams. I think he's got a higher ceiling.
I can't believe we haven't mentioned players like Retegi or Gyökeres. I think Gyökeres is a very doable deal. I don't know why we don't go for that kind of player, Victor Gyökeres. I think he can. I think his profile is very, very good. But again,
Arsenal are strongly linked.
Yeah, I think he will go to Arsenal. But Retegi from Atalanta, he scored a lot of goals for Atalanta this season. I think he's a really good player.
Italian strikers, I just don't know, man.
Chalo, okay.
Retegi's really good, by the way. Really, really good for Atalanta. I don't know if they're still top of the league.
Any super chats that we missed? No.
Avi just had a go at me. He says, Sarib, he goes,
When
yeah,
I
when
mentioned Ramos, Sarri laughed at me.
I don't want him. I just asked the question. I don't think he's good. I just asked the question. So yeah, I'm laughing at you.
Would you take him? Would you take Ramos?
No. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't personally. No, I think Jota's better personally.
Would you take this guy? Give me yes or no. No explanation. A yes or no. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
No.
Everton links. No. He's played for Everton.
Too old.
So what if he was good?
No, then yeah, but no. I don't think he's that good.
Okay.
No, he is good, but he's too old, man. I don't think this one.
Serie A tax, man. But then Retegi as well, Serie A tax. But I don't know. I'm yes and no. I'm Ness and Yo at the moment. How about that?
No, I agree with this. Asim, nobody is paying 60-70 million for Semenyo. I agree.
Let's go get Gyökeres, man. To do that. Get Gyökeres and I'll shut my mouth.
Okay, I think we're gonna play this game for the rest of the summer, aren't we? So we'll
do a show. We'll do a transfer show. Everyone brings their
it's every show, mate.
Targets.
Don't worry. Last 15-20 minutes of every show becomes a transfer show. But it's good. It helps us engage with the chat as well, and they get their say as well. Okay, we've been going for 2 hours. This is normally it's a half one, but so it gives me a bit of.
I'm gonna give a couple of shout outs, Asim. I'm gonna give a couple of shout outs. First show and all. I can't forget the boys.
Each shout out. Are you doing it through a super chat? Each shout out is about tenner.
I have to pick up my boys, man.
I'm only joking.
5 super chats, and Asim will actually give me some lunch money this week.
Yeah.
Go for it, Bilal. Go for it.
I have to big up SL1, SL2, SL3, SL4, man. Upton Lee for life. Big up Mooks from E17 and also the boys, man. Huds, Haas, VK, AT, Gimme. Can't forget the boys, man. Big up.
Anjay, I like it. This is what I always ask. We can't miss Ash's super chat.
And Abby.
Massive support of the channel. Here's a super chat. If you could pick any cam, if we unfortunately sell Elliot, who you taking? I want Shirky or Baina. I think the club like Xavi Simons for the versatility. Give me one. I think we kind of discussed this early in the show, but we have to respect the super chat. Give me that name. If you're gonna bring in one cam.
Don't know.
If we had the money, Xavi Simons, or if Premier League experience, it would be Kulusevski. But if we're going for the cheap Primark option, not because he's that quality-wise, but price-wise, it would be absolutely Ryan Shirky.
Out of box, but because of the situation, I think it's very possible. Because I don't know how this club's going to react to it in a couple of months. Dani Olmo.
Ooh.
Dani Olmo.
How old is he?
28.
26. No, he's not 28. Can't be 28. He's 26.
I'm sure Olmo is he's going to be 28.
Yeah, he's top, that guy. He's top.
Oh,
and another 10 who's having a very underrated
27. He's going to be 27 next month.
A number 10 who's having a very underrated season in England is Marco Asensio. He's having a very, very underrated. He's got the most
injury concerns.
Yeah, but he's been really good for Villa. He's been very, very good.
What a signing. Him, Marlon.
I know, but he's been very good for Villa. I think Villa have made that just shows you, man. Some of the
three signings. Asensio, Marlon, and Rashford absolutely turned their season almost around from finishing 6 to 8, top 4 now, maybe top 5.
Dani Olmo's a shout though. Dani Olmo's good. I like Dani Olmo.
Ash says Olmo is made of biscuits.
So is half this team, mate. So is Konate. so is Jota, Diaz.
Okay. Let's call it a night, boys. Thank you very much, people. When we play next Sunday, we'll probably go again with Sheen and Avi back. Yeah, we'll do a bit of another transfer show. Hopefully something breaks. Some contract talks might have come to a finale. You never know. But we'll see you when we see you. Take care and have a good night. Bye-bye for now.